Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today it's a WNR354. It's WWE WrestleMania Backlash, but I'm not alone because I have the pleasure to be joined by Jaxie Scarlett. How you doing?
Oh, here we go. Okay, going into WrestleMania 2.0. I'm ready for it.
Well, like I said, you're on the show. Last time you won was the anniversary show. I'd just like to thank you for not only taking part, but just being on there, and the response that we got from that, and especially with you on there as well, was incredible. So just thank everybody
Oh,
who's listening right now.
awesome. No problem. Thank you so much for having me. I had such a blast, and thank you to everyone who listened. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, like I said, I don't normally say it, but it was probably one of my favourite podcasts that I've ever done. And as you can
Yeah.
tell, I've done 350 of them. So, you know.
Yep. Yep.
Anyway,
Even my father checked it out, so he gave you props as well. So you've got some props from Papa Ferguson over there.
well, thank you. Like I said, thank you very much. And of course, like I say, you're joining us now because we, of course, follow all of WWE stuff. The last event that we had was WrestleMania. But the big news after WrestleMania, because, of course, we watched the Raw as well, was that WWE announced the release of several superstars on the Thursday, including Samoa Joe, Billy Kay, Peyton Royce, Mickey James, Kalisto, Chelsea Green, Bo Dallas, Wesley Blake Tucker, and Mojo Rawley. Now, before I get your thoughts on all this, I have been saying for years Mojo Rawley shouldn't be a WWE superstar. And it's not vindication because it's never fair when someone loses their job. But that is probably out of most of them that I saw, that was the one that I was happy with, if you can be happy. But there was a couple that devastated me. What were your thoughts? Because I know you were a big fan of a couple of them there.
Yeah. So I mean, an initial reaction was literally, "What the fuck?" But upon sort of calming down before I actually started bad mouthing WWE on Twitter, I kind of gathered my thoughts, and I actually thought to myself, do you know what? Good, because half of these superstars WWE don't even deserve to have on their roster because they are so talented and they are just being wasted sat there. So as much as I was gutted that Samoa Joe and Billy Kay were released, and Peyton Royce, they were some of my favorites. I also know that they have got so much talent that they are going to be snapped up by any single promotion at any given time. And I know that we're going to see them back in action again soon. I'd like to kind of, hold hopes and fingers crossed that Samoa Joe does return back to sort of in-ring action. Where that will be, I have no idea, but I'm just kind of excited at the prospect of it. But it was really ultimately sad just to kind of see this happening, a year after such a shitty year for everyone.
And it's, like I said, it was on the day, a year to the day that they had the kind of mass cold this year, of course, with like Kurt Hawkins and Zack
Yeah.
Ryder. And it's happened again now, and for me, it's a disappointment because it's missed opportunities, and you got a couple of wrestlers there that maybe you go okay, but look at the Iconics. I mean, we were even storylining them, returning at Mania, coming back. The same with Samoa Joe answering Roman Reigns' call, and it feels like it's WWE dropping the ball as much as it is the talent themselves.
Exactly, and it's a shame because I feel like they never got to have the opportunity to really showcase what they could do within the promotion. But I also hope that this also gives a lot more of the different wrestling promotions out there a lot more instinctive to actually pick these free agents up and actually showcase what they can do. Because they were part of the WWE for a reason. The WWE picked them because all of them had talent. So they just didn't, as you said, didn't get the opportunity to showcase it.
Do you think it's a case if AEW, because I know a lot of people say, "Oh, sign them all to AEW." Is it a case? Go on.
I don't think it's a case of everyone going to AEW. I do think that when AEW first came out, it was something fresh and something new because they had so many fresh new faces on there. Now, yes, of course, with the devastation that came from the first sort of Black Wednesday, as they called it, there was a lot of speculation as to who was going to turn up in AEW from that. But this isn't something that Tony Khan can keep doing on a regular basis, especially when he's got such a strong influx of wrestlers as it is. So, we can't expect him to be made of money and continuously being able to kind of pick up every wrestler that's out there. However, what AEW are doing right is that they are promoting other promotions such as Impact and New Japan, and that's getting other wrestling fans interested in those promotions. So even the prospect of having some of the bigger name stars that have just recently been let go by WWE join the likes of potentially Impact or even New Japan is so exciting, because there's so many new wrestling fans being introduced to new content right now. So right now, I'm just excited to see where any of them go. And I'm not expecting them all to be picked up by AEW.
Well, there's not much I can add to that. That was brilliant. So we'll move on now to the SmackDown. SmackDown after WrestleMania. It's April 16th. We get Michael Cole with the new commentary team of Pat McAfee on commentary. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Pat McAfee as a person before we tear him apart as a commentator?
Okay, so as a person, I just really was not interested, but I have to give him credit. That War Games match was absolutely amazing, and he held his own. So he did gain a little bit of my respect. That being said, his mouth gains none of my respect. That's putting it bluntly right there.
Well, we'll see how he gets on. We see Universal Champion Roman Reigns, of course, flanked by right-hand man Jey Uso and Paul Heyman, kicking off the SmackDown. Heyman party with Daniel Bryan and Edge's Hall of Fame credentials for a handover the mic to the Tribal Chief. I just want to say, did it seem a bit like a dream that Roman Reigns actually pinned Bryan and Edge and pinned them on top of each other? Because when you think about it now, it seems such a mythical moment, doesn't it?
Yeah, really, I mean, you go back to that moment when he pinned them, and then you're like, oh yeah, that did actually happen.
It's crazy, like, wow. Like I said, they put over the Hall of Famers, but he said that no one wants a part of Roman Reigns. Before they could leave, Cesaro made his way to the ring. Before he could address the head of the table, Cesaro watched as Reigns, Uso, and Heyman exited, refusing to acknowledge threat to the title. So I will say Roman Reigns had worse reactions the night after WrestleMania than he did this year. I think it would be fair to say. But this was subtle, and Cesaro looked great and didn't really say anything. I mean, what were your thoughts on this and the kind of the way we're looking it was going to go?
Well, I mean, I'm always excited when I get a chance to see Cesaro, especially kind of seeing that it looked like he was being given this push, and just kind of seeing him come out. It was just something different. It's not Jey Uso, it's not anyone else. So yeah, it was something fresh and something new, and I was quite intrigued to see kind of where they were going to go with this storyline.
All right, we get Mysterio and Otis next. We see Mysterio winning with a roll-up. I mean, at least Otis and Gable are still employed, I suppose. I think one thing that gets overlooked is how great Ray can still move at his age with all the injuries.
Yeah.
That it's 20 years now. Yeah, it's incredible. Definitely. More than 20 years.
Definitely. As we'll soon discuss, you can tell he's still got it.
Without a doubt. I mean, it was a fun match and keeps him in the hunt. And then we see Sami Zayn demanding a match with Kevin Owens. He said there's no one to provide a distraction, no way for you to steal a win. Zayn managed to evade a stunner before losing the match via count out to Owens, but then Owens rushed the ramp, fought Zayn back in the ring and delivered a stunner anyway. Looks like they're keeping this feud going, give him something to fight over, I suppose. And Pat seems to be settling in and arguing with Cole. And that always seems to be good when a commentator kind of gets comfortable in their position, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do get you there.
But these two can't have a bad match anyway. Zayn is such a strong heel, and afterwards, Cameron's caught up with the new Intercontinental Champion Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz, and Crews christened the move formerly known as Simone Spike as the Nigerian Nail. I mean, I do like repackaging, to be fair, and to see Aziz now as this new character kind of probably going to work out for him, isn't he? I mean, Crews is super confident, and I guess, is it only the booking that's going to let him down at this point?
I mean, that I feel like that's TBC. When it comes to him, I wasn't too excited kind of seeing his introduction into sort of this connection with Apollo Crews. However, I am thinking it is the right decision. I'm not really sure how strong he would be on mic, so I feel like, sort of playing the big bodyguard type character is a good entry point for him to sort of really start to hone his skills, get used to like kind of being around Mike talk, and things like that. It's an exciting prospect to see him grow within the company, to then maybe be able have the chance to have great matches among the likes of possibly Braun and Omos. However, that all three of those men really need to kind of hone their skills as big men wrestlers in the ring. Like, and when I say big men wrestlers, I'm really kind of envisioning Undertaker and Kane in my head. You know, they had everything going for both of them. You know, the wrestling moves, you could tell the dedication was there. It was clean. It was tidy. So these are small little things that these sort of big male wrestlers that are coming into it now just need to kind of study more. They need to study Kane and Undertaker more, I would say. And I think they could have potential to have such great mammoth matches that will really draw the viewers in again. But they really do need to kind of have that time, that screen time, to start honing their skills and getting more confident within the ring.
Yeah, and I think just putting like a big man as a manager might not work. We've kind of seen it fail before. We can only maybe a handful of times think of someone who's kind of grown from that role to become, you know, like a champion, or something like Diesel with Shawn Michaels, or, you know, there's so many kind of Tyson Tomkos and Luther Raineses and people that have kind of fallen by the Reigns side that, you know.
I feel like, you know, a perfect example of that is definitely got to look at AEW's MJF and Wardlow. I didn't really think much of Wardlow when he came into AEW. I thought he'd just kind of be like a powerhouse that might not be so good on mic. But as soon as he partnered up with MJF, I could see him each week growing. And I'm a lot more excited to kind of see what he could do in the ring and outside of the ring, you know, and that's a complete change from kind of how I felt about him as a wrestler when he first came into it. And I do think that is major growth with someone when he's working with someone as confident as MJF. And I think the same could be said with Apollo Crews, because Apollo Crews now being given this opportunity to sort of shine per se, even though he's in a heel role. He's very good on mic and things like that. So he's got the skills, and we're just finally getting a chance to see that. But maybe that will kind of help with their characters.
Yeah, I think without a doubt, we see Pat putting over the Profits, and then Blair, Street Profits Celebration, and told to go get the tag titles because we only wear gold in this house. And then Banks walking out in an interview with Caleb Braxton moments later. Bailey spoke to the reporter, issued a challenge to Blair for a title opportunity. Banks may be scarred for life. I mean, this was a kind of really nice segment with Bianca Belair's celebration here. But, you know, it looks like they've kind of built momentum now, and they need to take it to that next step. You know what I mean? They've got the goodwill from WrestleMania. Let's move on now. Bailey, Banks, and Belair. You can't really go wrong with that either. You
really can. It's the 3 Bs, the top Bs. And, you know, every time one of these women are on the mic, they do not give a bad promotion promo. So for me, it was just exciting as to see where this was going to go.
Yeah, I think that. Then we see the Profits versus the Dogs for the tag titles. Ziggler executed a blind tag and dropped forward with Zigzag for the pinfall victory and a successful title retention. And can the Dirty Dogs be a success, or will they split as soon as the Loon lose the tag team titles? It's a fun match, but of course with a good talent involved there, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can really say about that match. It was a good, decent match, but again, I feel like the tag titles are just sitting at the moment. I feel like we need to kind of do something about the tag division to really kind of shake things up, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree. And another division maybe needs a little bit shaken up is the women's division of SmackDown, because Natalya battled Shayna Baszler next up. Natalya for the victory, and after the match between the Rock Jacks with super kicks, stood tall with a partner to close out the segment. I'll put the women's tag division as a joke. Let's give them time. This was the most rushed thing on the entire show, so it must have annoyed me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it annoys anyone especially when it involves someone along the likes of Shayna Baszler. I'm really sorry, but when you actually go to sort of her entrance back to her entrance to the main roster, not even NXT, but to the main roster, she was clearly so dominant. she was clearly a woman to be feared. And I think it was the worst decision that they made, sort of pulling her out of sort of the title picture, or even in a singles run, specifically just because Becky's pregnancy announcement. I think that was really poor, and I just think they've been just going in the wrong direction with Shayna completely.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. And during a backstage encounter with Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, Cesaro threw down a challenge for a non-title match against a big dog. Instead, he got Uso in the main event. Cesaro downed Uso and delivered a swing, only for Seth Rollins to attack from out of nowhere. He left Cesaro laying and said he is the be-all and end-all of this industry. I mean, it was a great match between the two. It was a good show, but not groundbreaking. I guess we'll see on the way to Backlash. What did you think of SmackDown's main event?
Yeah, I mean, again, I feel like you just said it perfectly. It wasn't match of the year, but it was a great match, and both talents were really well together.
Yeah, I think that out. Right, deep breath now, because I'm going to talk about Raw. I put myself through it, so this is just quick notes, and I've kind of changed up how I talked about it, so hopefully this works out a little bit better. So the 19th of April, let's hope. Verk says lots of storyline developments. Does he mean feuds? Because I don't want to see behind the curtain, all right? He's not. Do you believe that? Like lots of storyline developments. I thought it was real. Anyway, McIntyre with a good promo recapping last week. T-Bar and Mace come out, but he wants MVP. MVP comes out and says congratulations. Bobby thinks he's a worthy adversary to beat, but Mr. T and Mr. M have nothing to do with the Hurt business, but they did show up, and McIntyre did get fucked up again. I watched this segment and then multiple replays. And then multiple replays, and then Drew wants Pierce to make the match, and Adam says tag or nothing. So that first half hour of Raw, 40 minutes, I saw the same thing probably 8 times.
Yeah.
I'm putting it out there. I'm just putting it out. This is what I'm going through.
That's dedication right there. That's dedication.
I could have fast forwarded, but no, I might miss an interesting backstage promo. Anyway.
Thought you might miss something like that. I shouldn't think that's so funny.
Well, the former Hurt Business in action next versus the Viking Raiders. I have no faith in the WWE Tag Team division, but they were great in NXT and, of course, back from injury now. Cedric Benjamin looked good, and Latin on each other has been quietly dropped. Little did I know. But the Hills were in control. The Viking Raiders were able to turn things around and get the win with the Viking Experience match. Have you seen much of the Viking Experience Raiders? What were your thoughts on them as a team?
I mean, I did like them until it became a novelty that, they were doing that whole thing of you're cute, but you're not. Like that all of those little short sections really started to annoy me, make me really annoyed with the Viking Raiders, because of it. Like I said, it was a novelty, and it's like, you do it once or twice and it's funny, but you were doing it every week, and it's just like, why? So I mean, personally, I felt like they could have had a bigger, better impact had they brought them back during, say, like the tag team match at WrestleMania, and just like kind of all of a sudden had them there. The impact that they got was minimal to none.
That's been nice.
Their return. And, usually after WrestleMania is when you make all these big returns, and it didn't have that pop, because guess what? You had people watching like their live WrestleMania, and you could have had a pop for the Viking Raiders return then, but you fucked it.
Well, to piss you off more, they show Charlotte's promo from last week and follow that with Charlotte with a promo from this week. She says she's the biggest star in the division, which is not difficult when there's not that many left. She's beaten both Ripley and Oscar at WrestleMania, though, we should say. So, credit for her. Oscar and Ray Ripley came out, but nothing much happened there apart from Charlotte making Oscar look a bit stupid. But Oscar did call her a bitch.
Yep.
We get another replay of Drew, but a handicap match is set. And then we get a backstage interview with Randy Orton, interrupted by Riddle. Orton immediately went to Adam Pearce and started the match despite having no idea who Riddle was. Two of my least favourite there. Bro was able to avoid the RKO and rolled Orton up for an upset win. This was a half-full, well-told story. I actually enjoyed this. Both played their parts well. I was a little bit shocked just because I think Matt Riddle is a massive moron, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you look up the word idiot in the dictionary, there's Matt Riddle. That's what you think. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm thoroughly enjoying this sort of weird relationship forming between Matt Riddle and Randy Orton. Is one of those ones that, again, where it's an unlikely pair randomly team up and work well together. Kind of reminds me of when, who was it? It was Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle.
Yeah.
Just would never have thought those two worked, but they worked so well. I was actually extremely gutted that he was moved from NXT to the main roster, because I felt like, I felt like we could have seen more come from both Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne, especially because Pete Dunne had returned shortly after.
Yeah. So we get Lana and Naomi versus Baszler and Jax next.
Oh, you don't agree? Okay.
Well, no, I like the Broserweights, like I said, with Pete Dunne involved in that. But obviously Pete Dunne, the thing is with Matt Riddle, and my problem with him has been the gimmick. Is I don't know how you can take that not seriously as such, or how you can become someone as big, a main event talent with that gimmick.
Yeah.
Being an idiot is not. Do you know what I mean? That's not
praise for that. What I'm saying is, I'm gutted that he's on the main roster, because he really should have just stayed on NXT. I felt like he was doing well on NXT, and as much as I'm finding it a little bit comical between him and Randy Orton, he's a novelty that wears off really quickly.
But the thing is that Orton beats the Fiend at WrestleMania, and then the Raw, after basically, or 2 weeks later, he then loses to Matt Riddle.
Yeah.
And you're going, well, wow, okay, well, but like you said, there's more to that story. Yeah. Well, Lana and Naomi versus Baszler and Jax next, and the Barbies. See what we did there? Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke came out and played a few embarrassing clips of Jax as a distraction. Jax angrily ignored a tag from Baszler and went after Rose and Brooke, leaving the partner high and dry. Lana got the win. I have no faith with WWE with the women's division either.
No, and I've got a lot of faith.
I'm about to say, is there something written in Naomi's contract where she's not allowed to have a match longer than 5 minutes?
I don't know. I think they're just kind of like, do you know what? We give most of our screen time to Jimmy and Jey Uso, so because of that, as a result, we're just going to take that time away from you. So just
Naomi, come here. Naomi, exactly. Naomi, come here. Go fuck yourself. Right. Go.
Yeah. Basically, like, we could definitely be doing so much more with half of the women's division, and instead, no, they're doing pointless squash matches that last like 3 minutes.
I will say, nice selling of the arm by Lana, and God does love a trier as well. This was okay, but dumb, but okay, still dumb. Bad Bunny's tour was sold out as well. Fair play to him. I wonder if you hit it during one of his sets. Like that.
Possibly.
Show
off what he can do.
Yeah, exactly. We then get Miz TV and Miz with Maurice, and this pair for me is money. No Morrison. These two make me sick in a good way, Priest interrupts. He makes a joke about Miz being about his real fight with Jake Paul, losing his pants as well. Maurice ended up accepting a challenge on her husband's behalf. This was actually quite funny. I don't know why Maurice so much, but I take Miz maybe more seriously with her.
Yeah, I think she's got that certain presence about her that and she's really good on the mic, so it just kind of ends up creating more drama in a good way. So I could get behind this match, especially with all that took place on Miz TV. However, I was also kind of like, can we not see him face someone other than the Miz or Morrison? Seriously.
I think it's written into his contract that it has to be against Miz or Morrison. Like you said,
you have to face the Miz and Morrison at least 12 times, once a month, and then after that year of you facing them, then you can move on to two other people. It might be like Drew Gulak and Akira Tozawa.
Well, other two people, Elias versus Kofi Kingston was next, and the man WWE hate in action here. But I do love the New Day. Xavier Woods was playing bass instead of trombone. I mean, he is a talent playing on the way to the ring, playing the Austin theme.
Yeah.
There was also a match as well. Unfortunately, they screwed up the SOS, but eventually hit a close two count. Elias countered the Hurricane Runner, hit a flying elbow drop for the clean win. The Jobber wins. Thank God New Day are so entertaining because Elias just beat Kofi Kingston. But I guess we should just ignore that match.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure WWE want us to forget all about that match, especially with what like takes place, a few weeks later. So it's kind of like WWE just really don't know what they're doing. They're throwing a yo-yo right now.
Yeah, or as in shit against the wall and seeing what stick. But anyway, we got Alexa Bliss's playground. And Bliss told a story about how she and her doll friend had been friends for some time, and Lily once made her break a little girl's arm on a playground. She noted that Lily has no problem letting people know if she doesn't like something, and said that Lily doesn't like all the little girls on the Raw roster. Okay, Fiend is gone because Lily doesn't like him, but why did she put up with Bray for so long in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna make some enemies by saying this, but I'm just really not feeling the whole Alexa Bliss storyline. And I feel like Nikki Cross should just come and slap her out of it already.
Or unless she is going to be Lily or something. But at the moment, Lily is the new head. Anybody that doesn't know that with Al Snow. Drew faced T-Bar and Mace next, and Mace and T-Bar double teamed him until the ref called for the bell. That's when Braun Strowman came down to make the save. Afterwards, we returned.
Can I just actually point out that it was a handicap match? So why were they DQ'd?
Look. All we know is that when we returned from, all I know is when I returned from an ad break, it was a tag team match, and I wondered where Teddy Long was to come running out at that point just to say tag team match.
I don't understand why Braun was coming out for the save when it was a handicap match in the first place.
Well, another thing I didn't understand was why they had their masks on and have had them on for the past, 6 months. Why they so easily came off. I know McIntyre actually, ripped the mask off as such. But then Strowman did exactly the same to T-Bars. And then all of a sudden you're thinking, so what? They Braun and Drew like kind of chums or something like this? The match ended in a no contest. It would have made more sense using Sheamus, wouldn't it, in that role?
I mean, that would have made a lot more sense, I think, at this point. But then again, you know what WWE are like. They're always like, do you know what? You two are going to have some sort of mini feud. So guess what? We're going to pair you together first.
I think we're at that.
Partners first. That's the rule with WWE.
It's just, I mean, I'm surprised the commentators didn't recognise Dylan Madden because, of course, he was a commentator on Raw. Then again, do we want a masked Verk attacking everyone in a year's time? Verk on a rampage.
Again, I feel like we're going to kind of get to more ridiculousness talk about what actually happens on WWE content anyway, but this is not even surprising with what comes up.
Well, we've got Priest versus Miz next for the 55th time, and after kicking that dirty pin, Priest hits finisher for the win. This wasn't a bad match, but it's 50-50 booking. It's not helping, and he needs to move away from the Miz now.
Yep.
Sheamus out next. Challenge. Here comes Alberto Carrillo. The US champ just beats the piss out of him. There will be a match for next week. I bet it. I was looking forward to this main event, actually. Oscar versus Charlotte. They got crazy chemistry, and Charlotte's turned into the new Bobby, getting 2 entrances, of course. Charlotte managed to avoid the Oscar lock, went into the figure 8, and then Ripley calls her to break the hold. This allowed the Empress to roll Charlotte up. The Queen then attacked the official after the match and beat him down. Even 2 other referees couldn't stop him, though she wanted to. And it felt it was just warming up, and the finish came. No one looked good in this. This is a fire match, but the women's division is papering over the cracks. And the big story is Charlotte got suspended and $100,000 fine. So we won't be seeing her for a long time.
Yeah, okay.
Raw was shit. It took me 4 hours to get me through it. 4 hours. SmackDown can't get any worse. But before that, we had Trash Bag Gate because Mickie James was sent her personal belongings in trash bags. The biggest name in this is Mark Carrano, who was fired. He was the senior director of talent relations for many years in WWE. But, it's not a good look. Mickie James put it on there. What were your thoughts on this?
I mean, personally, I thought it was really disrespectful to someone as what I would call a veteran of the business and someone who gave it her all and was quite a good talent within the business. So just poor poor on WWE's side. But I think the biggest disappointment came from hearing about the firing of Mark Carano, because I just kind of felt like it was more of a scapegoat sort of thing. But how much do we really believe it was really him that did it? Or did they just kind of use him as the reason to, try to keep things calm in the media by firing someone? So I felt like he was just more of a scapegoat.
Yeah, I mean, they're all scum, really. I mean, it's been going on apparently for a long time, because James was the first one to call them up on it as well, you know?
Exactly.
The thing with WWE is, because it's such a big, again, not defending them or something, because it's such a big fucking corporation, they the single people, the way people are getting treated is obviously not being checked upon as such, and it's just kind of, it's just annoying, when such a big company makes so much fucking money and they can't,
treat their staff right, especially when those staff members are the ones that are actually bringing in the money for them, and they can't even do the right thing by packing it up in a box and sending a courier. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, SmackDown can't be any worse than Raw, what we've just talked about. Like, we had a nice promo recapping Mania and what happened last week. So was out before being interrupted by Rollins. Rollins was excellent, taking credit for everything. Jay come out, started 2 on attack, but Brian arrived to put Cesaro over, and even and bragged about his WrestleMania victory for Brian and Cesaro losers. And next in this arena, this led to a tag team match, Rollins and Uso versus Cesaro and Brian. The opening promo was just far too long and so WWE. The match was, of course, good, and the talent involved. Brian was worked on the majority of it, and of course Cesaro and Brian won with a hard-fought victory. And after the match, Brian called Reigns out while Cesaro delivered a swing to Uso. Roman went save Jay the way his cousin had saved him in every championship match. So match with Cesaro ends with a new champion, and the babyface stood tall to close out the segment. This felt long, but much of this is making Cesaro look good. What were your thoughts?
I agree. I felt like it was a long segment that really didn't need to be that long. It actually felt long. But that being said, I really love Daniel Bryan and Cesaro, and I love their teamwork together. So it really entered.
No, I think without a doubt, it would be interesting to see where that goes. There we had Nia versus Tamina next. Reg returned. He had missed WrestleMania, and we enjoyed his absence so much that we didn't mention it actually on the WrestleMania podcast. But we see Reginald lead a distraction that allowed Tamina to score the roll-up win. The old roll-up finish, eh? WWE can't wait to break up another tag team in Baszler and Jax, can they? It's just nope. Tell them.
You could just tell at this point.
Well, but I will say Tamina didn't look terrible.
No, she didn't, and she's definitely getting better in the ring. But it's just WWE's booking. It's just their booking. Hire me. Come on, just hire me, because I could create so much better storylines than this. And guess what? There are other women in the division for them to be facing instead of the same 4 people week in, week out, which we will continue to see as you go on with more future Raw and Smackdown.
Well, backstage we get a nice exchange with Big E and Owens. Kev will be champ. Big E doesn't want him. Zayn joined commentary. Owens dropped the champion on the ring apron, but distracted by Z's called Cruz to score the roll-up win over Kevin Owens. But Owens hit Apollo with a stunner for being spiked again. Then Zayn did a kind of happy dance over him. Poor Kev, but he always gives his best.
He really does. I feel like he's always that one character that you see in movies, especially like sort of fighting movies, where there's just one character that continues to get beat down on, but he continues to get up and keep fighting. That's Kevin Owens for you. And like you said, he never puts on a bad match. It's such a great match. I'm watching Sami Zayn even be there is even entertaining. So.
Well, there's no doubt SmackDown does have a great roster, when you look at the 4 men there involved. I will say Pat McAfee's a bit more comfortable as well. Cruz was tapped backstage by Big E. Aziz arrived too late, so what was the fucking point of him? But anyway, we then see Michael Cole through to a new vignette for the returning Aleister Black, who read from a book entitled The Dark Father. He chastised viewers as the enigmatic promo came to a close. Fucking get in. This was brilliant.
Oh, it was so exciting to see Aleister Black finally return. I don't know how many people have been waiting for this, but I really hope they use him well this time, because Aleister Black is great in ring, out ring, whatever he does, but he's not been given the right opportunities. So please don't fuck this up, WWE. Call me if you need any help.
Well, we see Kayla Braxton catching up with the SmackDown Tag Team Champions as the Street Profits interrupted a tense stare down, and then Bayley broke it up and then talked trash on Bianca Belair, who confronted Bayley backstage. I mean, this felt like Impact with the good segments and vignettes backstage without having to have a fucking match involved in it as well.
Yeah.
But Bayley got embarrassed by Bellas at WrestleMania, but should be a cracker at C. We see the Mysterios versus Alpha Academy, and with Otis subdued at ringside, we see Ray scaling the ropes and delivering a smash for Gable for the win. I mean, this was good. Cole said both teams will be champs one day, either that or future endeavoured when it comes to Gable and Otis, wouldn't you say?
Yes, I do agree. However, it's just with the wrong people. I might be just, really stiff on this, but I can't really get behind. I'm not a fan of Otis and Gable together as a tag team. I know that Tucker's no longer with the company, but I honestly believe that for me they just don't work as a tag.
Well, we got onto the main event, and everyone met in the ring to find out what the big dog was going to do. Instead of Grant Stories, Rishi offered Brian another shot at the title next week on a condition if Brian loses, he will leave the blue brand forever. Swiss Cyborg encouraged Brian to accept the challenge, so he did. It is noted that Brian's contract expires soon, and he has stated desire to wrestle for WWE and other companies. That should be great, that match, but unfortunately we have a Raw before that. What were your thoughts on the announcement of Brian putting his career on SmackDown on the line?
I wasn't too shocked because I had heard that his contract was running out. So I wasn't too sure whether or not he really would resign, because there was loads of rumors as well that he also wanted to retire. So I was kind of on the ball with this because I just never want to see Daniel Bryan retire.
No, I don't even. I can't wait to watch his match with Reigns. But like I said, I had to watch Raw first. So it's the 26th of April, and we see highlights from last week.
What highlights?
That's what they're highlights. But they actually opened with a tag match. We had an enjoyable conversation between Braun and Drew. Big Man wanted the handicap match, but unfortunately, when I see Braun, I see nipples. Tell me I'm not the only one.
They're just always like standing on edge, aren't they?
Oh my God, they're just like the first thing I see
over them just before he goes on camera. Do you think?
Just, I mean, and also like they're probably about the size of my head, so I don't really want to kind of bash them back. But anyway, on to the match, and he was beaten down. Drew arrives, and a tag match begins at the end low. And you see what happens here on Raw, that they get beaten down on a handicap, and it turns into a tag match between Mace.
Yeah, but don't forget, they reversed it this time, so it was Braun who needed the help, not Drew.
Well, that's Mace and T-Bar won by count out, and after it was over, Strowman passed on McIntyre and yelled at him for not listening. But I thought Mason T-Bar sounds like a choice when picking Baron Corbin's name. They were going through the Mason T, but no, I don't like that. Baron Corbin, yeah, that would do. That wasn't too bad. Best Mason T-Bar we'll get. Drew gets a match with Braun later because, of course, Morrison back with Miz and Miz TV alongside the jobber team of Riker and Elias. They had a song, but luckily New Day had tomatoes. And all I thought was, who's clearing that up? Like, who's what Paul Bast's
whoever
job?
had to clear that up, I felt for them.
Horrible. And I think the Hills need to catch up. Yeah. Anyway, 6-man followed with Priest joining and Morrison sitting out and having a word drip in his hair. And the word drip in your hair, Morrison thinks it's really cool. But when I was young, it meant something different to what Morrison's saying now.
Did it?
Yeah, a drip is not a good thing.
Well, do educate me. What did it mean?
Drip might be you're slightly slow or a bit dumb. Would be you being a bit of a drip.
Okay.
Would be the,
like a slang
expression.
Word then.
Yeah, you're being stop being a drip, mate. Like, and I see that, and I see it on Morrison's head, and I think that's quite funny.
I've never heard that one before, but I'm probably gonna end up remembering it now.
You're gonna call someone a drip soon.
Well, at least I can educate them now.
Well, after everyone got involved, Woods was able to get the pin on Riker with Inside Cradle, the old Inside Cradle bar. It's actually an enjoyable match. I love the New Day. Did they retain the titles at WrestleMania? Because where the fuck are AJ Styles and Omos? Like, it's 3 weeks now.
Yeah. Yeah. Did they actually explain as to why they were off? Why they've been off?
Nothing.
Because,
Nothing.
I feel like we're all just kind of like that one meme of Mr. Bean when he's just constantly looking like, where, you know?
Well, you panic when you see releases as well. You think they weren't on the LA and we didn't see that. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it gets better because DeVille brought Charlotte back. Yes, the woman who was suspended.
A week ago.
What is the point of storyline? You should suspend every Raw wrestler at the end of Raw and say, right, you cannot come back until the start of Raw next week. Like,
because what does that really do though? I mean, did Charlotte learn her lesson? No. Did Daddy Flair probably pay the fine? Yes.
Well, back in my day, it used to mean something. Anyway, the ref is a dork. This was a waste of time. Sheamus beat up Carrillo next, but Humberto recovered to send the fella over the announce table. That's 3 weeks of TV done there, you see. Adnan improving as well. We get a Bobby promo next. MVP says he's offended. It could be a triple threat. He says he's the chief of the Hurt Business. What, with just him and MVP? Lashley's the chief. What kind of operation are you running there? It's two people.
I feel like MVP needs to realize that, like, you know, it's just like him and one other person now. So calling yourself the Hurt Business is probably not like business is booming anymore for you.
I consider there's more people that do the WNR podcast than there are in the Hurt Business. I think, you know, like MVP needs to learn about that and kind of, you know, add people. But anyway, I have no idea what I'm smoking, but RK Bro is an actual the world's slowest wrestler teamed up with the stupidest, and this could actually work, you know, because oddball tag team, well, until RKO to Bro, hopefully eventually, and we get RK Bro versus Cedric and Shelton, and they actually work well, and the floating Bro for the win. Riddle went in for a hug, but all backed him off and left him to celebrate by himself. Remember when Cedric and Shelton were having problems? Neither does WWE. I'll get back onto that. Speaking of smoking something, Garza gave Nia Jax flowers and then she threw them at Mandy Rose. Okay, so Garza's into Jax now, which is not an issue, of course.
No, but it's just come out of nowhere.
Oscar Lana Naomi versus Jax, Baszler and Ripley. We see Rose and Brooke come out to watch from ringside. They threw a bucket of water on her. When Jax tried to help her partner, she ended up slipping in the water a few times. This was hilarious. And we see Jax ended up getting a win with a big leg drop on Oscar. So Oscar loses yet again. And WWE Funny. Yeah. I mean, is WWE Funny different to, or comedy different to normal comedy? Because I just don't find it that funny.
It's Vince comedy. Only Vince actually finds it funny.
Well, we cut to a playground with Alexa Bliss. She says that Lily's her BFF and understands her, a confident, a mentor, the devil, an angel on her shoulder. But guess what? You can have Lily on your own. You just have to ask nicely. All we have to do is say Lily 3 times. Hang on a minute. Lily, Lily, Lily. No, it didn't work. She's thinking Lily grown restless, and now it's time to unleash her on the rest of the WWE. Well, I hope she does fucking something soon, because it's been quite a while. And then we see DeVille booking her former bestie Mandy Rose to face the Queen. The Golden Goddess was able to get in a lot of a match, but the Queen was able to get the win. Sonya is doing a power play now. What are your thoughts on Sonya Deville? Because this is something that they're trying to do now, getting in between, you know, Adam Pearce and stuff. I mean, Deville's quite a strong character, but what are you thinking? Do you care about it at all? Like, you know.
Right. So I'll say this. I care about Sonya Deville. The fact that she's returned, I was very excited for. The fact that she's returned in a general manager type capacity has really let me down. And I just don't care for it. And it's really a shame because I really like her, but I also just am not bothered about seeing her. Like, I want to see her in the ring. Like, she is so talented. I'm itching for a feud between a singles feud between her and Shayna Baszler, just to see that both of them go off with their techniques, and yet she's in this capacity, and Shayna Baszler gets roll up pinned and distracted 24/7. I just feel like the women that I feel like I'm rooting for, and like Naomi as well, just only gets 3 minutes allotted time each week. So I feel like all the women that I feel have potential to be such strong, like potential people to go against for the likes of the champions, all of them are just being used in a ridiculous manner.
Have you thought about supporting people like Lana and Mandy Rose and seeing if you can curse them the same as you have done with
because of like, do you know, I'm really good at having like, you know, in awkward moments and stuff where I just like really don't care about the person that I'm speaking to or something. I'm really good at like not showing that, but no, I just wouldn't even like want to fake that. No.
Well, we move on to the main event, and Drew and Braun put on a great big man match. I'm always in for that move for move. Mason T-Bar tried to interfere and was able to strap McIntyre long enough for Strowman to hit a power slam for the win, making it a triple threat match at Backlash. And with this result, Bobby is guaranteed to retain. I wonder if it will be Drew and Lashley one-on-one at Money in the Bank, or maybe something else. And where's Brock in the summer? We don't know. But it was confirmed Braun Strowman set a first-time ever record on Raw, becoming the first person to compete in the televised singles, tag team, and same night.
Nice. Okay.
April 30th, we move on to SmackDown. Belair started the show. She got interrupted by the Dirty Dogs, who got interrupted by the Street Profits, who got interrupted by Bayley. Bayley then laughed, which led to a six-person tag team matchup. This was another awful way to start. The action broke down. Belair delivered the KOD to Bayley, and Ford finished Rude off with Springboard Frog Splash for the win. Not a bad match. Don't bet on Bayley at Backlash. What were your thoughts?
I mean, you know, it was a good match overall, like entertaining. Thing is, I just felt like the whole bit before it was just really unnecessary because they didn't even give Bianca a chance to talk. And then, like, they came out to say what? Because they didn't get a chance to talk. And then Street Profits came out to say what? Because they didn't get a chance to talk. And then Bayley just laughed in Bianca's face, and then that was it. You know, oh God. It's painful sometimes.
Well, we see Brian, it's like therapy. We see Brian interviewed. He's at peace. When he wins, he will give Cesaro a shot. Rollins laughs at this. He picks Brian to win and wants Cesaro next week. Up next, Tamina and Natalya versus Baz and Jax for the 100th time this month. Reg and Nat Nia fucked around at ringside. Tamina re-entered the match, headbutted Baz off the match and scored the pinfall victory. There is no chemistry whatsoever with those two teams at the moment.
No, and I just don't understand why we're just constantly week in, week out, and it's those four people consistently facing each other.
I sometimes think I've recorded the same, you know, I'm watching the Smack. This is last week's one. Oh, wait a minute. No. I dream of that. I dream of fast forwarding.
I wish that was real. But that wasn't real.
We see Aleister Black delivering another cryptic message discussing a facade that is a path to happiness and success. He knows the key to breaking through, but refuses to give it to the viewers. You bastard. And then we get an IC title match next. Big E and Cruz started hot. We see them getting into a really actually good match until Kevin Owens hit the ring seeking revenge for the Nigerian nail injured last week. He found himself beaten down by the heels in the interference of Sami Zayn. The Vinners laid out the babyface Bill Aziz, delivered a Nigerian nail to Zayn and stood tall alongside Cruz. This felt like it's leading to a fatal four-way. I would like to see a straight-up one-on-one matchup when it comes to Big E and Apollo Crews.
Yeah, I mean, you know, with everyone barred from ringside, just everyone, just one-on-one standard. No stupid, you know, rules to the match. Just a standard one-on-one match.
I think that doubts Cesaro.
And can we have a clean finish, please?
Rollins' challenge for next week. Then the main event, we get a killer promo by Heyman before the match. We get Reigns' new entrance theme. What were your thoughts on his entrance theme? Because Twitter exploded at that point.
I felt like it reminded me of Seth Rollins' music. Like, it felt very like kind of like, oh, I'm God.
I thought him and Bobby went.
I don't think it's bad.
I think him and Bobby went to the same place to get the tune because there's very similar kind of.
I mean, it really wouldn't It really wouldn't surprise me
you
if
know
it was
what I mean?
like the same composer that just worked on both of them.
It just shows you how talented Jim Johnson was back in the fucking day to make entrance
Yeah.
themes. You know?
Oh my gosh, I missed some of his original themes. Like, I'll never get over Triple H's first one. I think it was his first one, or first real one. You know, from the Attitude Era.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, anyway, so Reigns trapped Bryan in the guillotine, but the babyface escaped and applied an arm submission. He saved into the yes lock. Reigns fought towards the ropes, but Bryan pulled him back. The champion powered out. Finally managed to slam Bryan to the mat. He pounded away at the back of Bryan's head, punishing him for delivering another powerbomb. Reigns used his good arm to apply the guillotine, choking the fight out of Bryan and retaining the title. And after the match, Reigns attempted a brutal chair assault on Bryan, only for Cesaro to make the save. Swiss Superman unloaded on the champion until Jey Uso made a save. Reigns delivered a concerto on Bryan while up to the ropes, forced to watch. This is 5 stars, please. Meltzer, bitch. That's all I put.
No, honestly, it was one of the best matches I've seen in a long time. Both Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns worked so well together, and you know, this had me on the edge of my seat. I kind of knew what the outcome was going to be, but at the same time I didn't, because the match was so good. You just really didn't know what was going to happen next.
But the thing is, and this is, I don't usually have a go at Dave Meltzer, so I'll leave that for other people. But, you know, with the ratings with AEW stuff, and don't get me wrong, I watch it all, you know, like I say. So it's not a case of me going, oh, fuck AEW. But how can he not be awarding, like the WrestleMania main event? That was a 5-star match without a shadow of a doubt. This one as well. How can he not be seeing that? It is a case of doing it just to get a reaction from the WWE fan base.
He just comes across quite bitter in every sense of the way he talks, in my opinion. And I kind of just don't take his opinion at face value, because what his opinion, what he feels is his opinion, doesn't really matter to me. So I just tend to ignore a lot of the bullshit that comes out his mouth.
I think that's fair to say. Well, Cole seemed back to his best on commentary. Reigns is in his prime. This was, of course, a match of the year candidate. Nice to see Reigns win 1-on-1. Go to Raw. Cesaro, Reigns will be incredible. And how can SmackDown be this good but Raw so bad?
I don't know. But they really need to start watching both products and realizing how different they both are, and actually start, you know, taking the leaf out of SmackDown's book.
We see Jinder Mahal return into action on Monday on the WWE main event taping. Then we move on to May 3rd, Raw. All right, here we go. So we got a coin toss, and it had Braun versus Bobby as the main event, because that's how you decide matches with coin tosses, of course. AJ and Omos are indeed alive and well. Did we miss them? I think we did. Grand Slam, AJ leads to Mania rematch versus the New Day. Styles called for a high five, but the ref took it as a tag. That made me laugh. Woods almost pinned him for a roll-up. Kofi was lucky not to break his neck on a leap of faith when he come diving outside the ring, which, you know, heart in mouth time. And then AJ delivering a phenomenal forearm to Woods for Omos' shoulders for the win. Thank God New Day are so entertaining. And when did Kofi Kingston become a killer promo as well?
I mean, he just, I think he always was, but he's just not ever always given the right opportunity to deliver a promo like he did. But it's just great.
Omos sounds like a Bond villain and wrestled like John Gonzalez. But this was as good as their Mania match. Make of that what you will. And then up next, Eva Marie is back with WWE.
Were you waiting for a reaction from me?
Is WWE fucking with us? Are they fucking with us?
Do you know what, right? I was really shocked at first and probably bitching a lot. But at the same time, I remembered, do you know what? I'm pretty sure that she had been hired for a while and just not used. So I should have seen this coming, but I didn't, and it just sucked. It failed.
Well, I'm not going to say Eva Marie sucked or saw anything coming, all right? But she's back on. She's back on Raw. She says, "Do I have your attention? I've been thinking about where I've been and where I'm going. Do I have your attention now?" This was just so fucking cringy. And I'm back where my journey started. This is a evolution. Yeah, fucking.
God. Like, can we just move on from her? Because she can't. She's a real cringeworthy person to watch. She makes me feel really awkward as a person. Like, if I was in front of her and she was dealing a promotion like that, I would not be able to keep my face straight. I would be laughing my ass off at her because it's so awkward. So let's move on from her.
Oh, well, one more thing. What is it with her and cars? All right, because the last time I saw her was on the Fastlane fucking poster on the network with her sitting on a car, and then all of a sudden
she wasn't on the. Yeah, but she wasn't even on the card. But she was like sort of the promotion of it. Yeah.
So, but what is so like? See her go. Oh, she need a car. Like that's what she needs.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Elias and Jackson Riker were trying to get revenge on the New Day backstage with some tomatoes, but they ended up hitting Randy Orton by mistake. This led to Orton telling Riddle he wanted to go win another tag match with him. Execution maybe not done right, but it wasn't too bad. We see Dana Brooke versus Charlotte next, and it didn't take Charlotte long to apply the figure eight for the submission victory. Mandy Rose attacked her throughout the ring. Deville came out after the match and claimed she had as Adam Pearce. She allowed Charlotte to make a proposal. I mean, long story short, the Queen wanted the Raw Women's title shot. Deville granted it and booked a triple threat match. So yes, that's right. The woman who was suspended a couple of weeks ago is getting a title shot at WrestleMania Backlash. And then we see Ripley and Oscar.
Wait. You forgot because she wasn't included in that WrestleMania.
Yes, that's the main part because she missed her there. We see Oscar Ripley struggling. There were so many wrong things. Why not just call a pay-per-view Triple Threat or Freeway? You know, they've done it before, haven't they? So,
I mean, I'm pretty sure that would actually draw a lot more like attention and want people to watch it, to be honest. So they should actually consider that.
To be fair, I would watch Braun McIntyre lashing in the free.
I bet you will never be seen saying that again.
Well, I'm saying people thought I was going to go the other way. Never. Up next, Priest versus Morrison 6. This feud that won't die. Priest won this one. Backstage, MVP and Bobby were interviewed, and the MVP was, why? What's he going to say differently? Now Bobby's not next to him.
Yeah.
Anyway, we return from a commercial to see a match already in progress with no announcement made. It's Grand Metalik and Alexander against Benjamin, with Benjamin involved as well. Of course, tag team matchup, Lucha House Party. And then we see, this was fucking awful as well. Metalik ended up getting a win for the team. Alexander grabbed a mic and ripped into Benjamin for being a weak link. He said it was done as a tag team before storming off. I mean, I did mention this, that they've not mentioned it. But, of course, W hates tag teams, so any breaking up a tag team, Cedric showed a little bit.
Up the wrong one.
Yeah, well, they can't help it. They want to break up tag teams.
Oh, my gosh.
Cedric,
I could teach them a better way to break up tag teams if they really want me to.
Well, Cedric and Benjamin going their separate ways, and I guess that is the end of the Hurt Business.
I mean, it would actually be a lot better if a feud between the two came out of it, because if both of them are so good in the ring, I think that they could really make some magic having a feud between those two. But you know what WWE thinks is good entertainment and what we as the viewers think is good content are two completely different things.
Well, Drew Gulak challenged Angel Garza to a match backstage, and the Fiery accepted. Garza nailed the win clipper for a quick win. They shoved a rose down Drew's trunks. If someone said to me at the trio of Andrade, Zelina Vega, and Angel Garza that he would be the one that was left in WWE like a year and a half later, I would have told you bollocks.
Bullshit. Yeah,
there ain't no way.
I mean, I have to agree with you right there. I wouldn't have actually if someone had said to me, like this time last year, out of these three wrestlers, who do you think will be left? It wouldn't. My first choice would not have been Angel Garza.
No, that wouldn't be my second fucking choice either. So.
No, it would be my third choice. So I'm just I'm still in complete shock. But then here's me holding hope out that we are going to see Andrade in at least some sort of wrestling promotion soon. I'm not sure that Zelina
He should
Vega
go to AEW. He should go.
I mean, they've got quite a few luchas already, so I don't know whether or not they really need him. But regardless as to where he ends up, please don't stop wrestling, because he is a great wrestler. So hopefully he'll get snagged up soon.
No doubt. Well, up next, RK Bro versus Jobber Inc. Of course, Elias and Riker. Legend Killer came ahead of steam and took up both opponents. He allowed Riddle to tag in and hit the floating bro for the win. And I said, I'll be damned if I'm starting to like this team. There's definitely something there. And of course, when that happens, it means they'll be broken up next week. But anyway, we see Mansoor signing his Raw contract earlier. He was facing Sheamus. Of course, US title was not on the line. Of course, over the past couple of years, Mansoor has made some appearances in NXT 205 Live and a cool main event, and entered Raw on a 49-match winning streak. So it's no surprise, really, when, of course...
They squashed that to shit. This is WWE. Come on. The minute that they actually said it on the announcement, I even was like, okay, so he's losing tonight. You know, they made such a big deal out of it. Just he did get pinned like that.
It was Humberto Carrillo's interference. But it's just the future, you know, Carrillo and Mansoor.
Yeah.
Probably not. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, up next, Alexa Bliss in the playground again with Lily. She says Lily loves to play hide and seek, but she's always seems to find her precarious position, so she's got her hands dirty. And then she sings a version of Daisy Bell written to be Lily. To me, again, I do like certain aspects, but this is just, it's got, I have no faith in this whatsoever.
Can we just get normal Alexa Bliss back now, please?
It's got no end game either.
Brilliant wrestler, but she doesn't wrestle as Scary Alexa. This whole, do you know what? R-Truth made Little Jimmy seem so much more of a real character than this Lily storyline. It's just not working. So can we're over it? Can WWE get over it? No.
Well, Lana and Naomi make their entrance to send us to an ad break, and then Reginald distracted the ref so Lana could not get the pin. Baszler grabbed her and Akira through the clutch for the submission win. I mean, how long was this? This was shockingly lazy booking. And then the main event, Bobby Lashley versus Braun Strowman. It wouldn't be Raw without a full Bobby entrance. These guys have had their wars before, and this was one of them as well. It's not bad. While the Monster Among Men was arguing with McIntyre, Lashley hit a spear for the win. McIntyre finished both men off with claymores. It was okay, you know. It wasn't shit. It was all right. May 5th, Bryan's contract has expired. That's what we are hearing the rumours at the moment. And, of course, May 5th was AEW Blood and Guts. Now, AEW got a lot of shit, or if you're an AEW fan, nothing whatsoever. What were your thoughts on Blood and Guts, the match itself, and what happened at the end as well?
I mean, I might be a bit biased because I am really enjoying AEW and I've been following them since the very beginning. So I thoroughly enjoyed everything that came out of Blood and Guts. The ending, yeah, okay. I think it was more fault on the camera angle more than anything. They could have definitely aimed at they had a different camera angle that would have fit it perfectly. But also, I mean, what do you guys expect? You've watched WWE content. Don't bash on AEW because a 50-year-old man is jumping off of a steel cage. Like, we're all not expecting him to really hit that floor with a thud. So, you know, we got to stop acting like, you know, there isn't that entertainment aspect. Because, you know, as we're rightly going to see in this upcoming pay-per-view we're discussing, there's loads of kayfabe stuff in there. And we're not. I don't think we're meant to fully believe it. So don't bash on the content just because it was a crash mat and not a real floor. It didn't bother me as much as a lot of others.
No, but like you said, the problem with the AEW production and getting the cameras wrong is obviously something that's going to happen. But the truth is now is that they've fucked up the end of their last two major matches that they've had. I was going to
say, I was a lot more disappointed with like the outcome of the other match where like it was fireworks, you know. That was really disappointing. That was when I was like, oh, come on, you need to get better at this. Like, did you not do any test runs before? Like, what the hell? So, you know, I'm not totally officially on not bad-mouthing them, but I'm not as angry at the ending of Blood and Guts as other people are. And I think that's just probably because I'm thinking it's Chris Jericho. He's been doing this a while and he's a lot older now. Like, you don't expect Sting to be doing that sort of thing either. But, then that might just be because of my bias towards Chris Jericho.
Yeah, I think it is a little bit, but like you said, it's not a bad thing. Like I said, because there's such goodwill for AEWs that they can get away with it. And the thing with WWE is that they can produce shit, and we come back like, do you know what I mean? Because it's WWE, and well, that's what all I've watched and all this kind of shit. Like I said, it's an alternative. But I think my thing with AEW, and I won't stick with it for too long, but the thing, and that's what I said, if they fucked up, just fuck up. Or say, we fucked up here. Don't then try and play it off as saying that they did or didn't do, or have Jericho like with the arm in a sling when he fell like 7 foot onto the crash pad. Or like you said with the first camera shot, have it in a position where he falls and then cut away and go, oh my God, we can't show it because how horrific is it? Like I said, we're not expecting him to hit. We're not expecting him to hit concrete. But like you said, with Darby Allin getting thrown down the concrete stairs an hour previously, and then there's a little bit of,
Exactly. I think that AEW have a lot to learn when it comes to, creating impact when it comes to their pay-per-views. And I'd like to hope that this is something that they're going to grow on.
Yes.
But the one piece of praise that I will give them is that they do own up to their own mistakes, whereas WWE go, where? What happened? Nothing happened. What are you talking about? No, that didn't happen. And just act like it didn't happen.
Yeah, but then again, WWE can have senior executives or senior people at staff say something, and then it becomes a massive rumor. You got no names, no facts, and yet all of a sudden it's kind of all this shit. So again, it's the kind of the dirt sheet of the Meltzer thing and all this kind of stuff where WWE is obviously a target, but AEW still got that kind of goodwill against it, and the fans do. Don't get me wrong, there are hardcore WWE fans, but the thing that I do is like, if it's shit, it's shit. Or if it didn't work, it didn't work. Call it. Yeah. But anyway, we move on, go back to WWE. We talk about WWE main event for a second, because Ali versus Ricochet have been delivering some great matches on that show. Now, A, I don't know why the fuck it's not on Raw. And B, how can these two men so talented not actually have an opportunity elsewhere? Or is it just a case of they put it on main event because at least some people will watch it then?
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I don't watch main event, so I didn't even know that they were feuding on there. But I was just going to ask, why is this not happening on Raw?
I have no idea. The matches that they had, try and catch it on the network as well, especially the second one, which is not on there yet, but we'll go up soon, is just, like I said, 20 minutes on Raw would just be delicious. And yet they're serving us kind of shit to eat, which is a bit of a shame, but that's definitely something to check out. We move on to SmackDown May 7th. It's a throwback edition. We get funky music and intro. Even though SmackDown started in 1999, they were doing stuff back again. I'll let him off the list because Pat was dressed like Vince McMahon and Michael Cole was dressed like the No Mercy version of him, which I really liked. We get highlights from the first SmackDown. The Universal Champ Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman and Jey Uso make their way to the ring. Heyman eulogised the career of Daniel Bryan and a 10-bell salute. That nearly cracked Roman. Reigns said he's man of word. He got rid of Bryan. In his place, he got someone who certainly acknowledged the champion, Jimmy Uso, the turning twin brother Jey, embraced the men in the ring. To see him back. What were your thoughts when they introduced Jimmy back?
Definitely excited. This is a repeated subject for me, but being a twin myself, it's always exciting when you see the other one return. So I was all up for it, and I'm hoping that with Jimmy's return, we will get some sort of more decent tag team action. And it's sad to say because I don't really want to solely put it on the Usos, but the Usos as a tag team deliver great content and actually open up a lot more opportunity for other wrestlers to face them, and they work well with other tag teams. So I'm really hoping that this means that the tag division might start to pick up a little bit more.
I hope they split up.
Blasphemy!
Cesaro interrupted the proceedings. Someone can replace Bryan, he said, drawing last from Reigns and a sneak attack from Rollins. Teddy Long appeared on a special throwback episode and revealed that if Cesaro beats Rollins, he will challenge Reigns at WrestleMania Backlash. We moan and, all this shit, but there were so many things right with this. It was great to see Jimmy. Cesaro's a main event player. And speaking of players, Teddy Long as well,
Yeah, I mean, you can't help but smile when you hear Teddy Long's music. So, yeah, it was just overall enjoyable.
Well, this led to Cesaro versus Rollins, and we see the Swiss Cyborg delivering a neutralizer to pin Rollins after Rollins had actually claimed he didn't need the Usos' help, who was at ringside, because of course this was a good match with added story. And then after the match, Cameron's court was to please Reigns watch from the locker room. And the shots of Reigns in his locker room, it's like Sopranos-esque, isn't it? You know, Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
It's like serious
So
shit.
you don't really know what his reaction is going to be at the end of this match or the outcome of it. So you're just sat there watching him on eggshells.
Backstage, we see Seth confronting Reigns about the Usos costing him the win. He threatened Reigns, telling him to take care of his family before Rollins does. And elsewhere, Sami Zayn joined Teddy Long and Sonya Deville. Long teased him with a match against The Undertaker or King Booker before announcing a Big Ten tag team match later tonight. And back in Reigns' locker room, a defiant Jimmy Uso told the head of the table that he won't be talked like his brother. He said, "I'm no one's bitch." This was brilliant, wasn't it, that moment?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was like a real peak moment.
Well, SmackDown's been great so far. So here's Carmella versus Ruby Riott with 2 T's. No, to be fair, Mella wins with submission in a passable match. There was no time or story given, but who cares? They dropped the ball with the Riott squad.
Yep.
We see Brock versus Show ring collapse, and then Bayley came out to pay tribute to the women's division and was putting over herself until Belair turned it into a fight. Bayley used Belair's earrings and hair to down her and leave her lying in a heap to close the segment. I think this should be better. This should have been better. The interaction between the two.
I mean, I think it could have been, but I also feel like they were told, like, you got this amount of time, just rush it. Like, I just feel like it was just rushed writing.
Well, we see Jimmy and Jay getting into it, and of course they need each other. And then the Dirty Dogs come out next to laugh at Dom Mysterio. Dolph said he don't deserve to be here, which of course led to a match. Ziggler talked trash and controlled the match until Dom rolls him up for a surprise win. They hit home the fact that Dom is here because of Ray. That's nice, isn't it? You know, it's not too bad, but just shows you Dolph Ziggler's role, which is kind of sad if you've been a fan of Ziggler for as long as I have. You know, like, this is it now.
I mean, yeah, like when you kind of look back at his run on WWE, you can tell that he's been given opportunity, and it's a shame to kind of see where he is now.
It is.
I just think he could be better than what he is, but I also just, again, don't really see. I just don't feel like he's a tag team division wrestler. I feel like he should be a singles wrestler.
Well, they'll do a singles run with him for 6 months or so. He'll take some time off and then come back and create another team like he has done with Bobby or Drew McIntyre or, you know, anybody else.
Yeah.
But anyway, intergender action followed with the WNR's most hated, Reg versus Tamina. This was a nonsense DQ finish. If the storyline was a dog, it would be put down. Old school promise for the 10-man tag, which was Cruz, Zayn, Corbin, Otis versus Biggie, Naka, Street Profits, and Owens. This was really enjoyable stuff, actually. Corbin flattened Nakamura at the end of days to pick up the win. What did you think of the 10-man tag?
Yeah, it was enjoyable, actually. Although, again, I just felt like I'm not a huge fan of Corbin.
No, but then again, not many people are. But we see Reigns making his way to the ring once more, this time with a stern ultimatum: fall in line or take your ass home. We see clips from October and Hell in a Cell talk about long-term storytelling. The emotion in that match was incredible. But Jimmy Uso rolled to the floor, torn by the decision in front of him. Would he join brother Jay in a line with Reigns to strengthen the family? Would he stand on his own? Before he could make a decision, Cesaro came from out of nowhere attacking Reigns and Jay. Jimmy hit the ring to defend his family, but in the end it was a Swiss Superman to close out the show. One thing I can relate to with the Usos and Reigns is those pesky grey hairs and beards, you know. Anyway, Cesaro looked great. This show flew by. It was the best show I've watched in ages. What did you think of that SmackDown? Because I think that was the best SmackDown.
It was really entertaining from beginning to end, to be honest. There was a lot that was going on. It's just a real shame that the women's division isn't given as much time to create and build great stories as what we do have on SmackDown, because I think that's the one thing that lets SmackDown down, is that even though we've got a strong women's division on SmackDown, I feel like the story building lacks.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that as well. So we move on then, and when WWE first announced that the name of the May 16th event was WrestleMania Backlash, a lot of people assumed the card would feature several rematches for WrestleMania 37. But W couldn't wait the full 5 weeks to run those matches. because this is how many's been booked over the last month. We've had Rhea Ripley versus Asuka on Raw, Owens versus Zayn on SmackDown, Cruz versus Big E on SmackDown, Baszler and Jax versus Tamina and Natalia on SmackDown, Omos and AJ versus New Day on Raw, Cesaro versus Rollins on SmackDown, Lashley versus McIntyre on Raw, and Baszler and Jax versus Tamina and Natalia. 7 of the 14 matches that took place at WrestleMania have already been given a rematch on TV prior to the next pay-per-view.
Yep. There's no surprise there, though, is there, really?
It's
this is called WrestleMania Backlash. You might as well have called it WrestleMania 2.0.
Yeah, but the thing is, we've had all the rematches for Backlash before we got to Backlash. They've all happened.
Yep.
Like, it should be called. We've done that now. Like, it's insane. Like, it should be called Freeway.
No, replay, instant replay. That's what it should be called.
Instant free play. Oh no. Anyway, we move on. We'll have a meeting about it. It's fine with pie charts and shit. So Raw 10th, we got the Raw 10th of May to go home, and we actually start with a match. It's Charlotte, Jackson, Baz versus Asuka, Rose, and Brooke. I honestly thought Lana was in the match, but the three are incredibly alike, I will say. And I'm not being blondist, right? Before anybody says anything. Alexa Bliss suddenly appeared on the stage with a swing set and Lily doll. She said she wanted to keep her eye on someone, but did not specify who. Tried to make a tag, but acted like her foot was stuck. Asuka took advantage and hit a Shining Wizard for the win. Okay, this was awful in place, but at least Asuka won, and maybe they start treating her with a little bit of respect, eh?
No.
Tag team registrations? Is that like, is that a thing, really? I mean, the New Day were talking about it. Matt Riddle is a moron. The New Day said they would have protected Orton. Some nice backstage stuff. MVP wanted to talk business with Braun. Up next, don't hinder Jinder. And anybody who's watched Jinder Mahal come out now, who hasn't watched WWE in a couple of years, would have thought the Bollywood boys have fucking grown. They've taken that thing in Space Jam when they get massive. Like, it's been unbelievable.
That is very true, though. That's the best way to describe it. Like, they've gone and come back completely different.
They're monsters. They're like, honestly, just like...
They upgraded.
They did. They really did. Former WWE champion was actually against Jeff Hardy. I mean, what's happened to Jeff? But we haven't got that long to talk about it, to be fair. You know, I mean, WWE...
I mean, he's just become a jobber.
But is that down to Hardy as much as it is WWE because he's just there, you know? Is that a case of him maybe not pushing?
I want to say that, but I mean, look at WWE content lately. They don't do anything with any of this talent that they've got. So it wouldn't surprise me if it is just WWE sitting on it.
Well, Mahal beat Jeff Hardy, of course, with the Cass, and then we have Slapjack T-Bar, man. I don't even know what that sentence says. Tax Drew makes more sense. I have no fucking clue, so we'll move on from that. Veer and Shanky have had no impact on them. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Have Slapjack and T-Bar be the two guys that Jinder Mahal has got. And then the attacks on Drew McIntyre make sense then. There you go.
Maybe. Okay, well, let's see whether or not that comes true.
No, it ain't going to happen, is it?
No.
Anyway, we get the New Day and the New Day versus RK Bro versus Styles, Omos, Elias, and Riker. Of course, the Jobbers lose again. But then after the match, RKO on the New Day as well. And Graves, Saxon, and Burke were actually entertaining on commentary. I mean, obviously I wasn't watching it, but I was listening to it. I can hear them both, like all three of them, kind of banter, and it was alright actually, you know. Anyway, up next, Sheamus finally squared off with Humberto Carrillo. What could go wrong in this one, eh? Well, a sunset flip powerbomb ended with a botched landing, leaving the Mexican unable to continue the match. The ref called for the bell. Shit, this looked painful. And then we had Benjamin versus Alexander. I mean, I wouldn't have been upset if this was on Backlash, you know, at least had some story behind it.
Yeah.
But it didn't. Alexander hit a kick to the head. He screamed at he's better than him. The gold standard popped up and hit a T-bone suplex out of nowhere for the win. We then have DeVille booking Oscar versus Ripley because, well, you know.
Why not? Why not?
Oscar hit a missile dropkick for a close 2 count, but Ripley recovered and hit a riptide for the pin and the win. So my previous comment of Oscar won, maybe I'll start treating her with respect. Well, gosh darn it. Charlotte is of course the face of the women's division. It wasn't a bad match though. Morrison versus Priest yet again. Whoever won would get to choose the stipulations for the match. Morrison accepted on Miz's behalf. and the A-lister adversity cost Morrison the match, and he's allowed to choose what type of match he wanted. John Morrison hasn't won a match this year. You're not surprised, are you?
Nope.
Main event, full Bobby entrance. I don't think these two can have a bad match. Versus Lashley, of course, as he booked towards the finish. Strowman attacked the Scot to cause a DQ. He helped Lashley to his feet while hitting him with a power slam. Not a bad ending, but even with ads, it's a long 2 hours. Even with adverts not in, it's a 2 hour, very, very long show. It wasn't great at all. And we move on to a bit of news, and Zelina Vega has been at the PC. Rumours are that she's coming back to WWE 6 months after leaving. We mentioned Zelina Vega earlier. Is that a good sign? Do you think that she's at the PC?
I feel like it's too soon to say at this point.
Well, I reckon she will be back before we know it. So we'll move on to the last SmackDown then, May 14th. And Jey Uso introduces Roman, says there's family problems to sort out. Of course, we get a recap of last week. The champion admitted to liking Cesaro and respecting him as a wrestler. Reigns, though, is so much more than a wrestler. He reiterated that Cesaro had 0 World Championship matches. He had 39. And then we see Jimmy coming out, sporting a tank top with the words, "Nobody's bitch." He told the brother to jump on the right team, to which Jey implored him to get on the same page with the family. And Reigns insinuated that the champion would not retain the title against the Swiss Superman Sunday at pay-per-view. And then Reigns, at his brilliant best, basically said, if you think you can do it, why don't you go and challenge Cesaro and beat him tonight? And Cesaro accepted the challenge. Reigns could do a 2 hour promo. SmackDown would be a great show. I mean, this is brilliant, really.
It really was. And it just really entertaining, but also kind of gave me sort of family argument vibes. You know, it really felt kind of really realistic in how this argument and how this match has come about. You know, there was actual storyline and reason for this match to be taking place.
And up next, another match, our first match of the night, and the feud started at WrestleMania, women's tag team title match, Jax and Baszler versus Natalya and Tamina. And as Baszler attempted to interfere, Natalya delivered a big German suplex on the floor. Back inside, Jax dropped the Queen of Hearts with a Samoan drop, only to fall victim to a suplex splash for Tamina. And 3 seconds later, your new women's tag team champions is Tamina and Natalya. And the emotion she showed, the tears in Natalya's eyes as she spoke up for a tag team partner, and the energy.
I got my hand in the air at the moment for a question. I know you can't see me, but I've got my hand in the air for a question.
Well,
why did this not happen at WrestleMania, where there would have been a bigger pop and real people there? Why have we had week after week after week of rematch after rematch after rematch just for it to get to this stage where they did get it?
Because it's all about the chase. It means more now, doesn't it?
Yeah. What? And this had to happen the week before Backlash, because you couldn't have had that actually happen on the pay-per-view, no?
Well, I completely agree, because it's weird they booked the title fatal 4-way for next SmackDown as well. So you actually had 2 matches that could be on the pay-per-view that didn't actually happen.
It was very questionable.
Yeah, especially with the matches that we did have at the pay-per-view. And I'm sure everybody listening to the show, we will get on there. We will get on there in a moment. No, I really like this moment. Of course, if this is AEW, they would have cut backstage as soon as the pin happened.
Probably.
No,
missed all the tears. Missed all of the tears.
Really nice stuff. Please stop mixing the tag team titles with the singles titles from now. And the fireworks were really good. And look at them to drop the titles in the next rematch. We then see, like we talked about, the fatal 4-way set for next week with Cruz and Commander Aziz, with Biggie and Zayn, and of course Kevin Owens getting involved as well. And then Ziggler versus Mysterio. I remember them kicking off SummerSlam with a banger a few years ago, and Ziggler losing to not only Dominic Mysterio the week previously, but now Rey Mysterio this week. So surely they can't lose at the pay-per-view. You know?
Surely.
This is a good match from 2 veterans, but nothing groundbreaking. And then we see Bianca Belair making her way to the ring. She told Bayley she's bitter because she was getting thrown down the ramp by the Bella Twins at Mania while the champ was headlined against Sasha Banks. Before she said much, Bayley interrupted, and she sees a bit of herself in Belair, and that the story doesn't end well. She's going to end the EST for good this Sunday. And this wasn't good. It hasn't clicked like Belair Banks. And is it down to Bayley, or is it down to Belair, or is it just because it's been put in this position so close to WrestleMania?
I actually think it's neither. I think it's just the way that this has been booked, and I think that my answer probably is reflected because of what the outcome is with the match itself, which we will soon get onto. Um, I do think both women work well together, but I don't feel like there was enough content or storyline to be building like this big feud. So it felt more like a petty feud rather than one as big of a feud between Bianca and Sasha Banks. So I feel like both women worked well together there.
It didn't light a fire under me, but like I said, we'll see what happens at the pay-per-view. We get Nakamura versus Corbin. The King scored what many would consider an upset win, and after the match, he made a big show, putting on a crown. Nakamura knocked off his head with Kinshasa and proceeded to take the headwear for himself. And all this happened. Michael Cole and Pat McAfee mentioned the term King of the Ring no fewer than a dozen times. I wonder, are they trying to bring back a King of the Ring tournament? If it would have been...
Don't do it, because then we're just going to get another Baron Corbin-esque person who wins that King of the Ring and just acts like he's king for about 2 or 3 years. Like Baron Corbin's been king of the ring for apparently like the past 2-3 years.
September 2019. September 2019 is when he became king of the ring. But if they give it, why? I mean, we'll get onto it as well. Why not be King of the Ring be the June pay-per-view, and then the winner of the King of the Ring tournament gets a WWE title or Universal title shot at SummerSlam? It's a fucking easy thing. I've been thinking for years.
And I don't understand why that's not actually a stipulation, because of what really is the reason for King of the Ring if you don't have a stipulation like that for the outcome.
Well, the best part of this was Nakamura with his crown, and of course anybody that's watched New Japan will know he does love that. And then Aleister Black returned with another lesson, a story from his father about being forged of steel against a man made of ash. He said he would not tell the meaning because the audience is made up not of participants but spectators. And then on to the main event. And of course, we've got Jimmy Uso versus Cesaro. Cesaro tried for neutralize, but Uso escaped. Superman tried for a springboard, but Uso flattered him with a super kick as the action intensified. Reigns arrived and attacked Cesaro during a disqualification. Uso told Reigns it was always about him, that he and Cesaro where he wanted him. The cousins bickered on the ramp while Cesaro attacked Jay back in the ring. Cesaro nearly got the best of Reigns until Jay made the save. Reigns bowed to the floor, leaving Jay to beat neutralizer. The champion and challenger stayed each other down. To close out the show, Cesaro stood tall. This was good build. What were your thoughts on SmackDown? What were your thoughts on the build-up towards WrestleMania Backlash?
I mean, I don't feel like there was much of a build-up for WrestleMania. It didn't really feel like there was a pay-per-view happening to me like that same weekend. However, I've got to admit the sort of main event was really exciting. I enjoyed every aspect of it, just seeing Jimmy back in action, but also just seeing Cesaro main event. This is exactly what a lot of people have been wanting for a while. So for me, I just thought it was really, really good way to kind of showcase him and show how strong he is.
I think without doubt, and like I said, the build-up maybe has not been good, but then again, it's not been great all year, really, has it? It's been a bit underwhelming to WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble, so let's see if the pay-per-view can deliver, like the pay-per-views have been doing this year so far. So we move on to WrestleMania Backlash, 16th of May. What better way to kick off then with kickoff? Kayla Braxton welcomes us. She's joined by Pete Rosenberg, JBL, Booker T. Of course, they hype the card. We get a US title challenge from Sheamus, apparently open challenge later on in the night. We get a promo for the Universal title. JBL and Rosenberg believe Reigns will retain it tonight. Booker goes to Cesaro. We get a video package on Bianca and Bayley. DeVille's on the panel. She praises Bayley, but says Belair will win tonight if she can stay focused. The panel talk about lumberjack match between Priest and The Miz. We get video in the Raw Women's title match. DeVille returns to the panel, goes on about how Charlotte Flair deserves to be in this match. And then we see Dominic Mysterio backstage. You can fight the Bullet Champs, Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode. They attempt to go find his dad, but they won't let him. They ended up sneak attacking him, beating him up, leaving him for dead. Jamie Noble tells the referee to go find Rey Mysterio. We go another break, and then we come back, and it's a non-title open challenge. It's Sheamus. And he comes out, calls Adam Verk with Corey Graves and Saxton on it. And who would it be? Because we've seen the stories. Humberto Carrillo, could be Mansoor. Who would answer the challenge?
So did you want me to answer that?
No, I just wondered why it wasn't Mansoor or Humberto Carrillo when that would have made sense storyline wise. But it was an open challenge.
It it would have. I mean, I was actually quite shocked to see who it was that did answer.
And that man was, of course, the man who wrestles main events, as in the main event taping before Raw. That is Ricochet coming out here. And then we start the match, and the High Flyer went straight for Sheamus after the bell, but one stiff headbutt from the Irishman put him on the mat. United States title holder kept him on defense for a long time with a few slams and clubbing blows. The one and only was able to break free and hit a springboard clothesline, followed by a shooting star press into a springboard moonsault for a 2 count. Ricochet dropped Sheamus with a backstab and hit a beautiful 450, but the Celtic Warrior kicked out of the roll. Huge knee to the face for the win. What were your thoughts on this match?
I thought it was a really good one. I think Ricochet looked really strong. And I think that him and Sheamus worked really well together. I just wish that there had been more hype about it, to be honest, because even if they didn't want to give away who it was going to be, they could have done a lot more promotion. Kind of having Sheamus just talk smack and just be like, I'm issuing an open challenge on the pre-show. Let's see who answers. Do you know how many more people probably would have checked it out? And that match was amazing. So anyone listening in that did not see the match, go and watch it. It was a really good one.
Well, like I say, and also we could have done predictions for it because they didn't announce it freehand. We missed out. Ricochet in his street clothes. I mean, he is so good. Hopefully, Sheamus can wrestle some underappreciated wrestlers. I mean, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Ricochet should be treated like early Rey Mysterio with the stuff that he can. Is no one else in the world that can do what Ricochet can.
I feel like him and Ollie both have the charisma, excuse me, as well as the skill in ring to be big high flyers. And it's just been unfortunate that I feel like both of them have kind of just had like a slip of just fully having a push. But maybe one day we'll get there.
Well, what I found funny was Sheamus with his coat and trunks looked like he just got out of the shower or answered the door quickly. Out of 5, what would you score the opening match on kickoff?
I'd give it a 4.
Not bad. I'm going to give that 3.5. And like I said, not a bad way to be, or not a bad match on kickoff at all. We see Ricochet nicking Sheamus's outfit and mocking it. That's what heels do now, is just take the outfits of them. We saw it with Corbin. We saw it with Sheamus. Anyway, back from the break, and we get more discussion about the WWE Triple Threat match, and that's it for kickoff. And then the main show, well, it opens with a video narrated by former WWE Champion Batista, featuring clips of his Army of the Dead movie that premieres on Netflix. That movie is sponsoring tonight's pay-per-view. What were your thoughts on the opening promo?
Not really much. I'm a huge Walking Dead fan, and it's not because of Batista's in it, but I just didn't really have any particular. It didn't really do anything to make me think, "Oh, I'm going to check that out." I don't think it's something I'll check out.
No, but I didn't mind it because it's different, and as long as it's not like angry voice man talking over that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's definitely different and a lot more creative coming from WWE, so you've got to give them that.
So I would ask excitement level for the event, but after all the build-up, I don't think it's really there. But what match are you most looking forward to out of the main show?
Oh, it was definitely the Roman Reigns Cesaro match that I was most looking forward to.
Well, we get a nice hype video for the opener, which is Rhea Ripley versus Asuka versus Charlotte. And I mean, Ripley's entrance in he calls me a fucking seizure. I'm not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ, I should put a warning. But all 3 competitors circled each other before Charlotte rolled out the ring. Ripley forced her back in, momentarily teaming up on her before turning on each other. The Queen pulled Asuka out the ring and hit a fall-away slam to take her out the equation for a little while. Ripley and Charlotte then played a game of one-upmanship that ended with Charlotte playing dirty. She tripped in a nightmare on the apron before rolling Asuka back in the ring for an illegal choke against the middle of the rope. The Empress Smile got fired up and hit a flurry of strikes. Ripley went on a rampage and almost scored the win with a Northern Lights suplex. Charlotte got both women out of the ring and took them out with a moonsault from the top turnbuckle. Moments later, Asuka and Ripley teamed up to hit a double suplex on Charlotte. And after a brief exchange, they both kicked out of a double natural selection. I did think she was going to do a Roman at that point. But then Ripley was able to take advantage of a mistake from Charlotte and hit Asuka with a riptide for the win. What were your thoughts?
Right. Okay. I thought it was a really great match. I think all 3 women had the chance to showcase themselves so well, and I think that they all came across really strong. I can't really help myself but say this, but I'm just not shocked that it was Asuka that took the pin.
Yeah, well, to be fair, we all knew.
We all knew it. We all
Yeah.
knew it was happening. The minute it was made into a triple threat, we all knew Asuka's taking the pin.
Yeah, but this was a really enjoyable opener. Like I said, all three.
It was a
great
very
talents,
enjoyable match, but yeah, I'm very biased. Everyone knows now that Asuka is my favorite. So for me, yeah, disappointed with the outcome.
Well, I didn't like the finish as much, and I think Charlotte should have won. But I'll explain to you why I think Charlotte should have won in a minute when we do predictions. But like I said, Asuka eating a pin. Out of 5, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. This was a really, really good match to kind of start the main show.
Yeah, it was. But I'm going to be a bit more cynical and give it a 3.5.
That is cynical.
Yeah, sorry.
You know. So prediction-wise, we face off yet again. The WNR, or even the WNRJR versus Jaxie, and you went Rhea Ripley. I went Charlotte in this one. Of course, Jaxie takes the point, so she is 1-0 up. The reason I went Charlotte is because if Charlotte didn't win here, it means she's going to win at SummerSlam or sooner after. The sooner you get the Charlotte. Yeah, get the reign out of the way. Get the reign out of the way now. Have a one-on-one match with Ripley. Because the problem is, if Charlotte has a one-on-one match with Ripley now, there's more chance probably Charlotte winning.
Yeah.
Which
we
don't
probably gonna now happen.
And then get Lynch come back, and then Becky Lynch feuds with Charlotte, which we've seen before, rather than having something different.
Yeah, of course.
But again, everybody listening to this, we are die-hard WWE fans, and we, like I said, we love this, and I will get excited about anything, and there's no doubt I got excited.
Yeah,
watching this show.
I mean, you should be able to hear the passion in our voices. So sometimes, it might come across as cynical when we're discussing things, but it is because we are such huge fans of this show.
Yeah, we're picking it apart, boys and girls. So we're fine. Poll-wise, Rhea Ripley 74%, Asuka got 17%. More depressingly, Asuka only got 9% of that vote. And I know that she weren't going to win. Charlotte, I know I went Charlotte, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, we see Bobby and MVP arrive. Miz and Morrison argue backstage, and Johnny Drip Drip is going to find the Lumberjacks. Up next, the Dirty Dogs versus Rey Mysterio. Just Rey Mysterio for the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. This was McAfee's first pay-per-view. Of course, old Pat. We'll get onto that in a little bit. We see those damn Dirty Dogs damage Dom on kickoff. Probably one of my favourite sentences. Doctors Ray says he will have more opportunities. He's going to go it alone. And he managed to get an early advantage by using his speed to avoid his opponents. But Rude hit a forearm to the back of the head to stop him in his tracks. From that point forward, the Master of the 619 was fighting an uphill battle. Quick tags and attacks target his legs keeping ground, and he barely managed to beat a count out at one point. The high flyer count and a double suplex into a double DDT to give himself a chance to recover. And at this point, I just thought, cue Dom! That's literally someone in the back. Dom! Cue! Right? Like that. Literally, Dominic limped to the ring so he could join the match. Ray refused to tag him and almost lost when Ziggler hit a zigzag. And after taking a lot of punishment, Ray finally tagged Dom, who knocked the show off of the apron before going after Rude. The Glorious One planted him with a spine buster almost immediately. And after making a comeback, Dominic hit a big splash from the top rope to get the pin and win the titles with his fascia. What were your thoughts on this?
So, firstly, I was really pleased. It was like a record history making moment. I don't want to badmouth this, but I would have done things a little bit differently, just because we all know how great Rey Mysterio is. And this is an era now where we are introducing the likes of his son into the business. And then when you look at the year he had last year, where he was on the SummerSlam pay-per-view facing off against the likes of Seth Rollins, I don't think it was the right idea or right route to go with the whole let's have Ray fight practically 75% of the match and then have Dom come in at the end to be the hero. I feel like the storyline would have worked so much better if it had been the other way round. That it had been Ray that had been taken out, and he wasn't sure whether or not he could wrestle, and Dom being the one to be like, I'm going to get this for us, father. Ray coming out to kind of do the hero dad, save halfway through the match, and then sort of like take a big beating right towards the end, just for Dominic to make that hot tag back in after having a quick respite and coming in and picking up the win like that. And I think that would have made Dom come across so much more stronger as an individual wrestler and as a tag team wrestler. But I just feel like they put it all on Ray, and I don't think that did anything to help elevate Dom as a wrestler.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you there. Right, here we go. So, I mean, first off, how weak does that make the Dirty Dogs look? You know, not only does Ziggler losing twice, but losing when they've got a man advantage for half the match, you know?
Yeah, I just think that the storyline was there, and I was really engaged with it, and the match itself was good, and Rey Mysterio was so good. But this was an opportunity to really start showcasing his son, and I just think that they dropped the ball with this.
Well, 127-day reign over maybe the most pointless fucking tag team reign that we've had in a very long time. How great must Dom feel, though? I mean, this must be a lovely moment, you know, watching his dad growing up and finally being in the ring, you know.
And, you know, being the first father and son tag champs, I couldn't think of a better father and son duo to have become the first. So big congratulations to them.
Yeah, without a doubt. Right, we've got so Ray is a legend. Well, I'm just looking at my notes. Sorry, Ray is a legend, obviously. Rude is one of the best tag team wrestlers ever, in my eye, and it's the little things. It's him walking up and down that apron. And you know what I mean, and talking smack whilst he's doing it. It's the little reactions that he does that. A lot of tag team wrestlers will, if they're in a tag team match, will just stand in the corner holding the fucking rope like an idiot. And the whole point is, I always remember
cheering on your team member, is supporting your team member.
You know, you remember the New Age Outlaws, of course, you know, and Billy Gunn's hot tag was one of these things because of where he was reacting on the ring, and as soon as he got in, you knew it was going to be fire, you know.
Exactly. You know, you could see him getting revved up and fired up by the ringside. So by the time he actually got into the ring, it was like more explosive, more impactful.
You're right, that. And Ziggler is just a pro. You know, he's just, like I said, he never made it to the level maybe I wanted him to, but he's just, he can be put in any position, anywhere on that card, and just deliver the goods. And I think maybe that's harmed him as much as it helped him maybe throughout the years, you know?
Yeah.
But for me, this was just too long. This match was just too long. Like I said, I love watching Rey Mysterio get beaten up as much as the next person, but it was just too much.
It was too long, in my opinion.
And did you think the camera angle was a bit weird on the Frog Splash as well? Or was that just me?
I don't even really remember.
I don't know if it was a camera angle. It was just, we saw like the landing of a Frog Splash when it looks like you collapse someone. And the way Dominic landed was like, obviously with his arms out, but the way the camera was, you could see it didn't really hit Rude whatsoever. It looked kind of like maybe it's just me and the anal thing that I look, you know what I mean? But
I don't really remember the camera angle, to be honest. But who knows? Maybe some of our listeners would remember and stuff. Like, let us know if you felt like that.
Trust me, the amount of emails I get about me noticing shit like camera angle, people go, "Why the fuck?" You know, I go, "Well,
you know what? I should really remember that when I'm the one picking apart AEW's camera angling of, you know, the Chris Jericho hit. So I should have picked up on that, but I really don't remember it.
No, again, it might just be me, but you never know. What are you going to score that out of 5?
I'm going to give that a 3.5.
Yeah, I'm going to give that 3 3/4. Because like I said, really, really nice moment. We've been building up to that point. Prediction-wise, the WNR went for the Mysterios, and Jaxie went for Rudolph. So that lead...
I did.
That lead, why?
I don't know. Right, so I kind of had, like... So, you know, when, like, WWE are very over the top about, they could be the first ever father-son tag team champions, you know, and they throw that in your face so much that, and then they're like, we're not giving it to you. I felt like it was going to be that type of moment, so I decided to stay and choose the safe route and stick with Rudolph. It worked at WrestleMania. Clearly, it backfired on me. This lesson learned.
Well, anyway, it's 1-1 there. Mysterio's got 57%.
Damn it.
Oh god, this next one, I don't know where we're going to go with this. But up next, Morrison found zombies. Before we get on that, Jimmy did find Jay, and he tries to tell him he doesn't need Reigns. They should be tag team champions. Really, really good. And now on to the Miz versus Damian Priest in the Lumberjack match, and WWE decided to cross promote, of course, Army of the Dead. So the Lumberjacks for this were people dressed up as zombies. As the bell rang and the zombie ring, the Miz was distracted but still locked up with Priest. The Archer Infantry sent him out of the ring but still managed to avoid the undead. I'm going to call this as seriously as I can. When the A-lister tossed his opponent out, he took out a few zombies before rolling back in. He ended up rolling under the ring to avoid them. When he got back in, Priest ran him over a clothesline. At one point, the Miz and Priest were fighting the zombies together. John Morrison came back to help the Miz, but was overtaken by the zombies. Priest got the win and then immediately jumped out the ring so the undead could take the A-lister. I just said that. So what were your thoughts?
I was trying so hard to take you seriously, and it was really difficult. I mean, the whole match itself, I was just really asking myself the question of what exactly are WWE expecting us to think during this match? Are we genuinely supposed to believe that John Morrison and The Miz both were eaten by zombies, and would be zombies themselves come next Raw or SmackDown, or were we actually supposed to just think of those are wrestlers whose jobs is as are part-time zombies, and so they decided to kind of mesh the two together. We all get it, that is a promotion for Army of the Dead, but what did WWE want us to actually believe?
Right, can I just play devil's advocate for a couple of bits?
Oh, all right, okay.
No, I completely agree. What do we expect in a Buried Alive match? Or an Inferno match? Or a Buried Alive match as such? Do we really think of wrestlers getting buried alive?
Okay, but wait. I've got an argument for that right there. Right, because we had epic, ample amount of build-up to this match from someone who submitted their legacy having something like the burial match. So taking that into consideration, there's a lot more going into that match. You're telling me we're supposed to really believe that, halfway during the night, half of the wrestlers backstage caught a virus, turned into zombies, and then still remembered they had to come out to be lumberjacks, and then ate the Miz and John Morrison, but left Damian Priest because he won.
Yeah, well, but the thing is, right, okay, so Buried Alive concept, but it's a cinematic match.
Yes, that was a cinematic match. The lumberjack one wasn't.
Yeah, but the lumberjack was because they had the weird noise at the end when the match finished to show that it wasn't a part of any story.
But there was no advertisement to actually pre-warn us of this. So the question still is, what did WWE want us to actually think?
But the thing is, like I say, yeah, I understand. But Kong versus Godzilla match is fine, but zombies promoting is not fine then.
I mean, they didn't have a fake...
I'm just saying.
A fake gorilla and a fake dinosaur having a match in the middle of the ring, though, did they?
No, they just painted it up as if it was, even though they're bears, that they were fucking Godzilla.
I mean, it would make more sense if they actually had sort of themed the whole pay-per-view around it then. Have a sort of backlash, WrestleMania backlash.
I'm just laughing.
I don't know. Can you see how the level of ridiculousness this conversation has gone? And we're talking about WWE. We're talking about wrestling here.
Yeah, but
I just think there's a way to promote a movie with a WWE wrestler in, but WWE didn't have anything to do with the movie, so they didn't need to go this far and make their wrestlers zombies for a night. And have us then watch the commentary team act like they are full-on zombies, not just Tim down from catering, Yeah,
but that would have lessened the effect. I think the commentators got into it and run away.
But I'm pointing that out. So, asking you, if the commentators were acting like that, what were we as the audience meant to truly believe when we saw The Miz and Morrison get eaten by the zombies? And are they going to carry it on with that continuity?
Well, to be fair, The Miz posted a fucking excellent pic of him as a zombie and said, "I do feel good about after last night, guys. Don't worry about me," which was clever.
Yeah, I mean,
Luchasaurus,
it is.
Luchasaurus is not really a dinosaur, is he? You know, so it's like you said, it's the element of thing there. You can have,
Yeah, I
you
think
can have
I think
weddings.
it's
You
got to
can
be the
have,
execution.
you know.
It's got to be the execution. I think I think if we were told the stipulation a little bit beforehand, and maybe there was some more build up to it, then maybe it, for me, in my opinion, it wouldn't have come across as so ridiculous. But it just ended up being ridiculous because all I really thought of after that match was, are they both going to be coming back as zombies? Because if they're not, that's incredibly disappointing.
Well, you're forgetting unless they find a cure and then they can serve themselves before the next,
Exactly.
the
But,
next thing as
are we
well.
going to see them on Raw trying to find this cure?
Well, it would be like watching Walking Dead, wouldn't it? You know, we watch Miz and
Basically.
Morrison like, yeah, it's like walking from place to
Maybe we
place.
should have done a mini series on that. That might have been actually quite entertaining.
I'll take that over. Yeah, I'll take that over Carol and Daryl, I suppose. But we'll see what happens when it comes to it. But I mean, people going, "Oh, this is the worst. Oh, this is a black mark on WWE." And of course, Jericho saying it's set him back 30 years, only because some unknown fucking official said it about blood and guts and shit. But the thing is, watch Kevin Federline versus John Cena for the WWE title and tell me that was this is the lowest point.
God, yeah, don't. That still takes cringeworthy moment. Like that actually took place. That actually happened.
The thing is, if you WWE your mind to that match, it makes perfect sense of the fact that nothing really matters overall. Then it's fine on its own. But because you're expecting other things, I think that's the problem. Gray's reference in ECW as well was quite cool.
Yeah, actually it was. I was just going to say, I think after, having the likes of even Snooki from Jersey Shore in a match, we really shouldn't be surprised by this.
Yeah, like I said, I think, yeah, it was what it was. I did like them teaming up at one point, and I thought that was quite cool.
I mean,
cool.
don't get me wrong, I didn't badmouth it. I just laughed hard.
I'm going to try and score it now. Is it my one to score? Yeah, I'm going to give this a 2.25. I can't.
Yeah, I'm going to be nice and give it a 2.
Yeah, I mean, and we've let that off the hook really a little bit.
I really have. I think I'm being really nice by giving it a 2 because I mean, to be honest, first initial thought was to give it a 0.5. So I think I actually was really generous.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens next time we've got zombies at ringside,
Exactly, yeah.
Prediction-wise, we both went Priest, so it's 2-2. Poll-wise, Priest got 87%. And let's never talk about this again. Now,
no.
We find out Hell in a Cell is happening in June. What?
Yeah, that came out of nowhere. I was like, wait, since when?
Well, he said he was going to... Vince McMahon, they said they were going to shake up the roster. But do you know what I thought and I heard when I saw it and what it meant to me?
Brock Lesnar's returning?
No, Jimmy versus Roman.
No. Oh, I'd actually rather have Jimmy versus Jay.
I've got a feeling they're going to do the same thing with a Hell in a Cell match, Jimmy versus Roman, and try and play out exactly as they've done before.
So watch a week after it'll be Jimmy versus Jay in there. No, but do you know what? See, like, thing is, when the storyline between Roman and Jay first kicked off, I didn't like it because I was like, no, don't have siblings fight with each other. I don't like it, that sort of thing, right? But then it turned into such a good promotion and storyline. It was great. So I don't want to say that it wouldn't have the same impact for Jimmy, but I don't want. Maybe this is me speaking from being a twin myself, but like, it doesn't always have to be do this with one because you did it with the other. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying, but that's the only thing I thought. Why else would you move it so soon or close to after what happened there? It would be the overall arc of the story to be Hell in a Cell to Hell in a Cell and tell that, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, let's see whether or not you're right about this, because if I didn't even think about that. So be interesting to see if your theory is correct on this.
Well, wouldn't be the first time. No, but in all seriousness, though, And I'll talk about June 20th now because, like I said, Hell in a Cell. And like I say, Jaxie, you've been with me along this time since September, of course. And Hell in a Cell was the pay-per-view that you missed out on last year, weirdly enough.
Had I?
Yeah, you did miss out on the WNR podcast because we did it with, or the WNR did it with Select Match Pod, or Select Type. I always get their fucking name wrong off of me now as well. Select Match Type podcast that I did it with last time. It's basically two guys. And weirdly enough, is they've messaged me recently as well and asked me if I'm interested in do Hell in a Cell coming up in June.
Oh, how exciting.
So basically what I said to them is that I don't do WWE events without you. So unless you, if you're up for it, then if you want to come on do the Hell in a Cell and we do it, it will be basically Team WNR and I going against the Select Match Type podcast, and we'll basically do like a Hell in a Cell review if you want to.
Oh, wow, yeah, bring it on. That would be exciting. Finally, me and you get to be a tag team instead of going against each other for once. That would be so great. I love that.
So there we go. So that's what's going to happen then at Hell in the Cell. It will be, like I said,
come guys.
And like I said, there's going to be hopefully a lot more things like this coming up as well later this year. But we see Jay and Jimmy still arguing backstage and calls Jay a bitch. But back to the action, we get Bianca Belair versus Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And do you know what? I might just watch a promo video then the shows because they make this shit look good. You know? I go, even every match, I'm going, really? I sat through fucking 3 hours of Raw. Like that wasn't.
Yes. I didn't see that.
Yeah,
why does this look so good all of a sudden?
Well, we see the match started with exchange of waist locks that ended with Bianca Belair throwing Bayley out of the ring. The role model got right back in and locked her up again. They kept things technical for a few minutes, but as soon as Blair hit the first drop kick, the tone shifted. She whipped Bayley from the corner to corner with taunting her with a threat of a hair whip. The challenger grabbed Blair's ear and yanked her down to take control. They fought at ringside where Bayley dropped the EST of WWE on the steel steps and then suplexed her onto the floor. The role model laughed at the EST until Blair dropped to her right hand. Bayley hit an elbow drop for a 2 count as it started to build towards the finish. Eyes of Blair where the ref had his back turned. She hit the Bayley, but the EST refused to stay down for the count. The champion rolled her up with some help from her braid to get the victory. What were your thoughts on this?
Okay, so I actually thought it was a great match. I thought both Bianca and Bayley worked really well together in the match. I really love Bayley. She's just such a great heel, and her evil little laugh was making me laugh a lot. I feel like the ending was a little disappointing, and I don't even think it's either women's fault. I feel like it's more just like Vince wanting to kind of constantly jump on this novelty of, oh, we've got to do something with her hair. Now, I really love the little moment that happened in the match where she threatened to, whip her with her hair, and Bayley, who had been just the overall obvious bully of pointing and laughing 24/7, then flinched. That worked so well, and that type of thing works. I don't think you needed to have it so that she rolled her up like that with her hair. It didn't come across as a strong finish. And I think that it would have worked so much better just having a clean finish where Bianca gave her the KOD, and it was like sort of there and then done and dusted. And I would have even like ended it on an even stronger note of having either the likes of Sasha Banks come out at the end of it, not to kind of rub into Bianca again, but almost just to like be the Bayley to Bayley and just pointing and laughing, and then maybe reigniting another little feud between those two.
I think that, and I think the Bayley to Bayley just before the finish as well was a really nice near fall. That made me think about it as well. Blair obviously fits in. Of course, there's a couple of missteps. I like Bayley being thrown into the camera, but Blair's still finding her groove. Like I said, the finish wasn't great. My concern is I don't want her to be. Her finish is her using her hair now. Do you know what I mean? Like, she should be able to. Don't incorporate that into every fucking finish that she has in top matches. Have her beating her opponents and then using that in special occasions, and then actually is special. Then, if you know what I mean, you need to make
exactly. I don't want it to be like her thing. Like
that's her thing, isn't it? Yeah.
About the hair. So, like I said, as the example, where it works well, with the sort of like threatening of it with Bayley earlier in the match, that worked well. But then when you continue to do stuff with it, and then even try to incorporate that into the pin. I just think it made Bianca look less strong than what she is. Like, she's a strong wrestler, and they promoted that through even her doing the assault course and stuff. So they should have kept with that momentum by having her do a clean finish with her strong finisher, which is the KOD.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like I said, don't matter about the hair. She's a lot more than that. But like I said, really, really good match. Let down by the finish. Mm-hmm. What are you going to give that out of 5?
I'm going to give it a 4. And I feel like I'm giving it a 4 because of the finish. I think it would have been a lot stronger, and it would have probably been a lot higher in terms of rating if that finish hadn't happened.
Yeah, I'm going to give that 3 3/4. Mine was a 4, and then the finish kind of put it down just a little bit. Predictions, we both went Belair, so it's 3 all when it comes to that. Poll-wise, Belair, 83% of the vote. We then get MVP interviewed. Braun made a poor business decision. Bobby is an almighty champion. We see Drew getting ready. Moving on to our WWE Championship match. Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre versus Braun Strowman. I mean, these were long-ass entries and intros. You know when you're looking at your phone?
Oh, my gosh, it was, wasn't it?
I mean, I was looking at my phone making notes, and I must have been looking at my phone for like 20 minutes. And I thought, fucking hell, they're still not. They're still not.
Do you know what? It really did remind me. I did think of you when watching all 3 of these entrances coming out, because I know how much you point out the fact that Randy Orton is a slow entrance wrestler, and I just got reminded of that, and I just thought, what did they all watch Randy Orton's entrance before coming out and decide, yeah, I'm gonna do that.
I did.
Like,
honestly,
God, get to it already. And it's not even like they have very entertaining entrances. Like, if you had a real entertaining entrance, for example, Shinsuke Nakamura, like, especially when he came out with the violinist actually there, something like exhilarating, that's the cause and the reason why you should have like a long entrance sometimes. But there was no need for them to take as long as they did to get to the ring.
Yeah, like I said, I was looking at my phone for a good fucking 15 minutes, and they still, at that point, it was still like, and WWE champion Bobby Lashley. I'm going, fucking hell. But anyway, we see Bobby Lashley offering Drew McIntyre an alliance to start off. With Braun Strowman took both men down before they could agree to anything. Once they got back to defeat the Almighty, the Scottish Warriors started working together. They lifted Strowman up for an impressive double vertical suplex. And as soon as he was down, they turned on each other. And I had premonition, like you mentioned it earlier, with like big men and with tag teams as well. The two, the new 2-men power trip, or like the Brothers of Destruction. Yeah. I look at Bobby and McIntyre teaming up together, and I think they could be, they're fucking dominant,
They really could. I mean, especially when you saw hints of like them working together previously on Raw. However, yeah, I felt like with this match, the momentum was slow to start with before it like really took off.
I quite enjoyed this one from the get-go.
No, I do. I wasn't bad mouthing it. I just felt like it took a while to kind of like get to build up, but in a good way.
Oh no, like I said, we've all got different. Like I said, I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
We've all got different opinions. It's not, But anyway, the Scott launched the champ with a belly to belly. The Monster Among Men took out both big men with a dive off the apron, and luckily McIntyre and Lashley managed to catch Braun before he did break his fucking neck.
Because it looked like the way he was gonna land. I was a little bit of it was a shell shock moment. You didn't know if it was gonna happen or not.
Especially for a 375 pound. There's a lot of weight coming down on your neck then if there's a problem. We see McIntyre taking out both opponents with a crossbody from the top rope. We see, like I said, 3 big men just flying around the ring. I do love it. And then the Almighty took out McIntyre. Strowman hit the W champion with a set of steel stairs. I did love that. Lashley turned around, bang, stairs right to the face. It's just quite a funny visual.
It was very fun because I just felt like all 3 wrestlers had like a chance to let loose.
Right, now we see McIntyre and Lashley fought on the stage until the former threw the latter through the part of the set. It killed him. I mean, how close are the explosions get going off to Lashley actually going through,
Yeah, true.
Honestly, I wouldn't fucking do it. We've talked about it before. I just wouldn't do it. So we see Strowman and McIntyre trading near falls. When he got back in the ring, the Scottish Warrior hit a Michinoku driver, an impressive show of power. That was pretty mint, actually. The Monster Among Men powerbombed him through the announce table in retaliation. And then somehow they managed to get up. McIntyre threw him in. He nailed a claim to Braun, but Lashley returned, threw out the ring so he could hit the spear on Strowman for the pin. What were your thoughts on this?
I mean, I kind of knew Strowman was only in there to take the pin, if I'm being truly honest. However, I thought the match itself was actually really good, and it exceeded my expectations. I didn't really think much going into. I thought it was going to be a good match, but I didn't think it would be as entertaining as it was, and I thought it was really good.
I thought it was a hell of a match, yeah. Braun and Drew both. I mean, it's times like this you see it and you think what these guys could actually accomplish. Of course, Bobby picking up the pieces. I would watch this all day long. It'd be interesting to see what happens next for all three men. But out of 5, I'm going to give this.
I mean, oh, sorry, I was just actually going to say, I want to say that I'm happy that Bobby Lashley still retained as well.
Yeah, I think without doubt, and I think we will see maybe the eventual match between Lashley and McIntyre down the line, or they might even go a different way for McIntyre to get back to the top. But I think it would make more sense with Lashley than it would be Reigns, because at the moment on SmackDown, it's kind of sacred in my eyes, you know?
Yeah.
But out of 5, I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 5. I really enjoy. There's nothing I enjoy more than big men just going for it, move for move, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I'm going to give it a 4. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I think that what's to come is probably my higher one. My higher rating.
Well, predictions on that both went Bobby, so it's 4-all heading into our last matchup. We are tied when it comes to predictions. Poll wise, Bobby got 63%, Braun got 25%, Drew McIntyre got 12%. Why Braun got more than Drew, you fucking... Anyway, on to the main event. Roman Reigns versus Cesaro for the Universal Championship. Like I said, this is Cesaro's first shot. This is Reigns' 39th world title match. He told Jey Uso to stay back because he sounded like he had doubt in his voice. And it's the little things like that that just make it such a great story, you know?
Yeah, it really does. And, you know, I've got a soft spot for both Jimmy and Jey, but having Roman kind of come across as continuously dominant even towards his cousins, it really does help create that ambience and that picture, like you said.
Without a doubt. And the Tribal Chief backs Cesaro in the corner, but they made a clean break. Reigns scored the first takedown with a shoulder tackle. The challenger returned the favour, got a few near falls, forcing Reigns to take a breather at ringside. They kept the pace steady as they traded strikes. The big dog took control again and beat Cesaro down in the corner. The Swiss Superman drilled him with a pop-up uppercut out of nowhere. He brought Reigns down with a corkscrew plancher over the top rope. Again, like I said, I'm saying it quickly, but the pop-up, like the uppercut, the slow motion replays in this matchup was something else.
They were great slow-mos.
We see the corkscrew plancher, just like a man his size doing that, and it's unbelievable stuff, really. When you think about it, you know, it's like...
Yeah.
We get a running uppercut, the crossbody almost got Cesaro the win. The Tribal Chief countered him on the apron and regained the upper hand, but he couldn't keep him down for the 3 count. He began focusing on the arm. Cesaro injured early in the match. Reigns even addressed Daniel Bryan directly as he looked in the camera while punishing the Swiss Superman. He's like, yeah, I'm going to do real DB stuff. I mean, even that, he's such a heel.
Yeah, it's working well.
Cesaro began to build some momentum, hit a suplex from the apron for a 2 count. Reigns countered to neutralise and locked in an armbar. Swiss Superman broke free, but was quickly taken down with a Superman punch. Cesaro broke a guillotine choke and put Reigns in a sharpshooter. The Tribal Chief put him back in the guillotine and choked him out to win after a long struggle. I mean, I can't do it justice when I say a long struggle, because there was such emotion and hope with Cesaro trying to fight it.
Yep.
It was just an incredible... What did you think of the match before we talk about the aftermath?
I mean, just overall, this is how you book wrestling, you know? I mean, what a way to really showcase what Cesaro can do, and yet still manage to kind of have Roman come across as the dominant one. I felt like the match itself was, from beginning to end, was just perfect. Right from the very start, when they both were refusing to go down that standoff of strength, it really kind of gave that real standoff between two alpha male vibes and that feel, you know, and you really just didn't know what the outcome would be. The whole match itself was just amazing in my opinion, and it could be a strong contender at this point for match of the match of the year. I really enjoyed it thoroughly.
I thought it was alright. No, I'm joking. It was like it
Oh, and
was.
do you know what? I think,
God.
as you said as well, I'd like to touch upon what you said towards the end of the match as well. Like, you really could feel the force of Cesaro wanting to fight through it consistently through that, even with that injury to his arm that they definitely emphasized throughout the whole of the match and everything like that. And still, I felt like he came across still one of probably more on Roman's level when it came to strength. It was so impressive.
Yeah. It was great, you know. Like I said, the redness and the blood on the arm and all these little things that made it more high impact. And again, the old Cesaro thing of not getting pinned or submitting and passing out, you know, it makes, this is what's the thing, and no one deserves it more than kind of Cesaro. And it's a bit strange that Miro's kind of coming up in AEW the same time Cesaro is in WWE, after both of them have kind of had that same career as a kind of foreign heel, so to speak, and working their way through it now. But I mean, the match itself is unbelievable. Like I said, what a war! No help whatsoever from Reigns. Reigns is the man now. He is the new Cena, but his character is on a completely different level. I mean, Cena main evented his fifth WrestleMania at WrestleMania 29, and that was his last main event match. You can't say the same for Roman Reigns. Anything, couldn't he?
Exactly. You're right there.
It is. I mean, it's just, let's just, I'm saying, I know, but, we take a moment just to appreciate, because we didn't appreciate when Cena was doing this. And I think with Roman might be another thing of, but it is different level shit. It is without a fucking shadow of a doubt. But then after the match, Jey Uso attacked Cesaro with Reigns' blessing. Seth Rollins came down. We weren't sure for a second there because he had the face off with Reigns. But then he started smirking and joined in on the beat and putting a chair on a Swiss Superman's arm, whipping it to the ring post before hitting a stomp to end the show. Were you surprised it ended in this way?
I'm surprised that Seth Rollins came out, to be honest. I was trying to really think, first of all, who are you coming out for? But secondly, why are you coming out? Like, Cesaro kind of dealt with your ass already. But I do get it that, Seth Rollins isn't letting go of this and doesn't like that he's been made of a mockery. So I do get, they're clearly continuing that, probably in order for us to not expect too much of a long stint between Cesaro and Roman. Hopefully Cesaro will get another opportunity and another push for the title at some point. But I think that they did this with Seth Rollins, perhaps to maybe continue the storyline between Cesaro and Seth, which is not necessarily a problem. But yeah, it was a little confusing at the end of the match, I must admit, because I was just a little bit like, where are they going with this?
Yeah, it's kind of like, building up to you can see them two in Hell in a Cell now. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, move Cesaro away from that, focus with Roman.
Personally, as well, I really kind of it really would have felt like a real feel good moment if they'd have had that, and then maybe him and Roman teaming up on Cesaro, and then just have someone like Nakamura come out and just kind of end it on a feel good moment like that of saving his friend or something, that could possibly lead into, say, a tag team match on SmackDown next week. But again, I'm not asking for much. Like, I think overall the match was great. I was just a little bit confused with the ending with Seth.
And it even made you think that maybe Daniel Bryan could still make a return.
Yeah, I mean, he could have come in for the save as well, I suppose. That would have been fun.
But the thing is, though, we've been doing this a long time, and how many more, questions and answers, going out and excitable things as well, of possible things that could happen and go, well, Reigns could feud here, Cesaro could feud here. I mean, it's good time at the moment. The SmackDown main event scene is the best thing in WWE, probably by a country mile at this moment in time, isn't it?
100% agree with that right there. I mean, they really do need to, Raw really do need to start looking at SmackDown when it comes to continuity of storylines. That being said, though, I also feel like Vince probably really needs to consider laying up on what he seems to think is his version of comical, because I don't think it's working out in WWE.
No, but talking about comical as well, and Vince, of course, used to be a commentator. See Miss Link. Pat McAfee had his worst night so far as well. Kept being corrected by Michael Cole like a fucking school teacher. Back to the match though. 5 for me. What are you going to give it?
I'm giving it a 5.
Yeah, without a doubt. Both went for Roman Reigns, so we drew this one. Final score's 5-all when it came there. So I guess we're both happy with that.
I lost on purpose. I let you kind of draw with me.
Yeah, that's what I keep saying. That's what I've been doing for 6 months. No, so poll-wise, Reigns 65% of the vote. So our match of the night is, of course, the main event. So the other two now, who was the MVP of the night? I'll give you my MVP first because I think it's the best he's looked in a very long time. I'm going to say Braun Strowman because he showed me tonight. I thought, yeah, maybe he's got a little bit more about him than I give him credit for, and it felt like the old Braun Strowman.
No, I do understand your reasoning for that pick. I think mine is a bit more on the nose. I'm going to go with Cesaro. I just think it was one of his most standout matches, and he just looked great, even though he didn't win. So in my eyes, yeah, Cesaro.
So we have got our match. We have got our MVP. I'm just writing this down because do you know what? Weirdly enough, and I will mention this for the first time now as well, is that I keep a note of all the scores and the predictions that we do, and at the end of the year, we can look back and find out who won overall and who match of the year was.
Interesting.
Exactly, whose match? What match? You know, when you go, what was your match of the year? We can look at all the W pay per view and go, well, these are the ones that we ranked up.
Oh my gosh, it'd be so good if you quizzed us and see if we get it right or get it wrong when there are our own actual answers. No, wait, actually, don't do that. I'm gonna fail. Don't do that.
Well, we've got our new game. So anyway, out of 10 for the pay-per-view, I am going to give this an 8 3/4 out of 10. It was great wrestling, but if you skip the show, you've not missed much, and you're going to see it on a shitload of replays anyway, post Backlash. What are you going to give this pay?
I'm going to give it a 7.5, and I think that's been nice.
That is fair enough. And of course, we asked everybody on Twitter what they thought of the show as well. Okay and good tied 36.4%. Great was 21.2%, and awesome was 6.1%. But that is it. Don't forget, of course, all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNRJR. Do you want to just plug your stuff quickly?
Yep, I'm at Jaxie Scarlett on both Twitter and Instagram.
Well, WNR also on Facebook and Instagram, of course, all the Google platforms. Send us an email at WNRpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, YouTube, where the podcast got at the same time on YouTube as do SoundCloud on your phone. Also, Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. That is everything that we can talk about for WrestleMania Backlashes. And we liked WrestleMania so much, we had it twice. You know, can you believe that?
Exactly. How lucky are we?
Honestly, it's been fantastic. The next episode on the WNR podcast will be Impact Under Siege with the Ultimate One. The next time I'm joined with Jaxie will be Hell in a Cell. And I don't know if you're up for it or not. We have to speak. Maybe meet up a couple of weeks beforehand and do a couple of Raws and Smackdowns, because obviously we won't be able to do the full thing we do every month with these guys.
Yeah, definitely. And we can talk tag team strategy. See how we can win this.
Well, like
it's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be the WNR versus Select Match type podcast. That's coming at Hell in a Cell. But until then, I've been James Rowlands, and I was joined by the fabulous Jaxie Scarlett. Again, thank you so much for joining me. And it just flies by. And what another great show that we've done.
Definitely. And again, thank you for having me on here. I'm definitely looking forward to Hell in a Cell. So let's go.
All right, no problem. Well, like I said, thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.